Hello, everyone.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, look at the mood lighting behind me.
Yep.
This is wonderful.
Matt's got colors.
Yeah, you have no colors whatsoever.
I'm still in the depression corner.
You're also not even in focus, so if you could pull that back yourself very briefly for a second, please.
Ah, lovely. I'm not in focus. Excellent.
I've upgraded your Michael.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Give me the screen. Hello. Okay, I've got the screen back.
Spot on.
There we go.
Spot on. Hello, everyone.
Ah, good. Well, we've numerous things have been plugged in. Plugged out. I'm plugged in again. Across the whole stream setup, so hopefully less chaos.
Yes, less chaos. And also extremely... please tell me if you find that we are not as quiet anymore. I spent a long time playing with audio, making sure I've got compressor, so we should no longer be blowing your ears out if we get loud. Although we still shouldn't just randomly scream, even though it is fun.
Really is tempting to just scream, but you're right.
Exactly, and I should still, we should try to somewhat, whisper off camera quite a bit less. And just a little bit of a pink mood lighting or busted camera. It'd be really funny if it was just a busted camera. It's like I'm actually wearing a plain black shirt, believe it or not. What I think, I'm basing my circadian rhythms on when the stream ends on Friday, so y'all be messing my sleep schedule going like that. Listen. Don't even talk to me about a circadian rhythm. I slept today from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then from 10:30 a.m. to about 3 p.m. So it is no crack. Before we get actually into talking about World of Warcraft, because we do have a lot to talk about today, we've got the Hunter rework, which there'll be a video going live on it, talking in a little bit more depth. Did this just start? Yes, it did just start. No, I didn't watch the FF14 stream. I'll catch up on that later. A little behind. So we do have to talk about the Hunter rework, which is by large and by far positive. I've seen most Hunter players be super happy about it. In what I've played of it, it's been really fun. I actually was almost worried. I was almost worried today how much fun I had playing Hunter and Delves. I was like, you know that...
which specs specifically?
I honestly liked all three of them. BM the least, maybe?
Huh.
Overall, I was really vibing with the resource management on marksmanship for a change, which I haven't felt since even before Legion, which is kind of crazy. So, where was I going with that? It's like they've managed to do small changes that ultimately make Hunter substantially better class to play, and I very much enjoyed the utility of Hunter. Works super well in Delves. Delves are a little bit easy for my taste, but that should make them pretty good for a lot of people overall.
Yeah, now we can test that at endgame.
Yeah, it is very, very... I'm super impressed with the beta this week, specifically for a few things. And then there's also things to talk about, such as John Haidt has left, so World of Warcraft is down one team lead, but on the general manager of the franchise side, so there's nothing really to worry about with the game. And I think there's a bunch of other things like the double bronze and things that we'll get into, kind of talking about like all of that things. But before I go on, I will say, I think actually it was today or yesterday they closed. I will say rest in peace Tango fucking Gameworks.
Oh yeah.
This is 808 from Hi-Fi Rush. Please buy and play that game, or maybe don't buy it. I will not endorse piracy on the stream.
We're very good. We don't endorse such things. We would never say that people should check out the new emulators that are now available on iOS because of the digital markets rule.
So
we'd never say that. I'd never say that personally.
So I would be more than happy to endorse piracy of games that you cannot purchase any day of the week, because you can't purchase them. There's no other option, and the other option is to not play video games, and that fucking sucks. But if it is a game that can be purchased, there is some sort of vague sort of potential, maybe arguably moral duty to support, even if it's not exactly supporting the developers. In that case, with that sort of roundabout disclaimer out of the way,
whenever you see that $130 Ubisoft Special Edition, buy it.
That's your moral imperative.
That's our official party line.
Yes, exactly. So go play Hi-Fi Rush. Was there anything else to really talk about? There's just a question, which is how do Delves compare to the Digs in terms of general fun replayability? Well, the Delves have gameplay in them, as in World of Warcraft class gameplay. You're fighting enemies that are
those
kind
digs.
of there.
Yeah.
You're fighting enemies quite a lot. They're quite challenging when they come to like having mechanics. Not super hard, but There's a couple of, I guess, really fun elements that, like, obviously, like Holly said on the Xbox podcast that she is the casual representative in the team. So she always represents the casuals and somewhat to some degree the mid-core players that they talk about, which are people who aren't the giga sweaty nerds, but more the people who collect and kind of dabble in and out. And I think one of the funnest parts of that is actually delves will be like obviously like maybe at the highest tier with, you know, slightly under geared or something. It'll be, you know, challenging enough for someone who plays the game a lot and wants mid-star stuff, but in the 13th delve is purported to be hard and stuff. But I think for most players, they'll actually have a good time in the delves. They'll find them challenging enough until they learn them, and they'll sort of enjoy pushing them.
That's a big difference from the first time we played them, though.
Yes, they're a very, very good. That's the big difference.
So yeah, I mean that's probably so. Like I've not played the delves at endgame. I have played delves at like level 72, 73. So I guess that's me doing like a tier 1 or tier 2?
Tier 2, sorry, tier 2.
Okay, so you're doing tier 3 at max level.
No.
Tier 2 at max level?
No.
Tier 1 at max level?
I did tier 9 today.
Tier 9?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, of course, yeah, because the season. Yes, right. Okay, a 9.
Yeah, like you unlock them like
so
as you go up. You do a 5, you get a 6. You unlock 7, you unlock 8, you unlock 9.
How many more mechanics? Because it seemed that we're definitely sparse at like a 1 or a 2.
Yes, so there's a lot more mechanics. There's a lot more mechanics. Not like a huge amount of overwhelming stuff. But the two things that really made them feel different was there was more stuff in them overall. They were definitely sparse and incomplete. So now there's more enemies, there's more events where enemy spawns. Some of them are still pretty simple, where you just go and click a couple things and then walk through and kill enemies. That's like simple enough. There's now variety, which is interesting. When you go in there, different things happen. There's the Earthcrawl mines, for an example. One time you go into the room and it's clear out, it's rescue all the guys with a grappling shot mechanic to get over web pits. The next time you go in, it's or not the next time, but another time you go in, it could be something else, like a ambush, which is a Nerubian ambush based on like there's story variations of a delve. You go into rescue miners, or you go into investigate lost lamplighters, stuff like that, which is kind of changed up a little bit of how it actually feels to play. But the thing that got me was that they're balanced enough for the item level that they give you, because they give you the exact item level that they recommend. So it's like you'll go in and be like tier 7 is like 574 or something, so they set you to 574. Then tier 9 is like 60 whatever, so they set you that. So it is like exactly what it is. But for me, it was the perfect blend of I can't just no brain this. It does push me to use defensive properly. It does push me to interrupt the right spell or dispel the right thing.
Well, this is all encouraging.
Yeah, it's definitely
now 9 is the highest in terms of gear, or is it 8 that's the highest in terms of gear?
I could not tell you. I have no brain for those details whatsoever.
Yeah, because I think that there are a few more tiers beyond where you stop getting more gear the more that you do the delve. Interesting. Yeah. Because like the large concern that everyone had was that these would just end up being sort of cakewalks, or you would end up sort of feeling a Torghast-y sort of chore. Chore problem. But here in the actual, here in the second-to-second gameplay, things appear to be working out.
Yes.
Okay.
And aesthetically, a lot of them have issue. I haven't done all of them because there's a lot of delves. I haven't done all of them. I was kind of going through like a few that I recognized.
12 delves in total.
Yeah, 12 and the 13th hidden one.
Yes, which they've said they won't be testing, by the way. So
yes,
that's the boss sort of Mage Tower inspired one, so it'll be a total secret, it seems.
Yeah, and based on what they have done for existing bosses mechanics, I can see them like actually be able to give you a Mage Tower like experience boss wise, because the design is all there. The design is all there of you can, like, as an example, if you have a stealth ability, certain delves you can just blast through and do way faster because you don't need to fight a load of boys.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones that are just like, here's a room full of dudes, kill them all. Then there's other ones like, click these things and, the things are around that, stuff like that. So it is, I'm way happier about them than I was at the beginning of Alpha. That's for sure. In the way that
And
any
a lot of
games-
people had those concerns.
Yeah.
Like even at the alpha gameplay event, just like the talk between people was, these are easy. We will be paying a close eye.
Yeah, they're not difficult, but they do like ask you to play your class a little bit.
That's probably what you want.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, like you probably don't want some sort of like rock hard. I don't know why I just for like default think of playing like was it Inferno, whatever the higher difficulties were in Diablo 3 on launch, where you make like one tiny mistake and you're dead. Yeah, so people don't want that. You don't want to cakewalk things. You want it to matter enough that you feel like your inputs matter. You get into a flow state. I suppose a little bit like people who would be farming aspects of the higher up mobs in Timeless Isle back in the day, where like there's enough of a little second to second gameplay loop of dodge the shield, dodge the swirlies that fall, do all of that.
Yeah, so there's maybe a little concern about length, depending on how much damage you can do and how fast you can go, because like at the recommended level, and I'm not a very good hunter player, right? I've almost never played hunter very much. I kind of struggle with it pretty hard, just because I'm not used to it. Like I know what all the buttons do, but I was like, okay, I was kind of adjusting, and it took me a good like 15 minutes to do tier 7, 8, and 9s of one delve. That was a little bit slower because I had to kill a lot of mobs, and they were very like they were not like super tough, but they had plenty of health and they were doing things. How was Bran in terms of the skills at higher levels? So I didn't notice him very much when he was DPS, when I was doing these as a prot paladin and a rep paladin. But I set him to healer when I was hunter, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. Because he throws potions down, and you walk over the potion and he'll like 10% of your HP or something like that. Which is very useful in a game where you have an unbelievable amount of like, I guess just incoming damage all the time that really push you to use everything to your potential. So like a lot of some of the mobs have the pretty basic kind of aspect of they have, say, 2 or 3 spells. One is going to hurt. One is going to fucking kill you. So you don't really get to interrupt the one that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Unless you can like stun and chain stun. And as the delves go up, they get more HP and more damage and stuff like that to slightly outscale your gear a little tiny bit. So they do take longer and longer to kill, which means, I want to have a cooldown for that. It's like a good version of the like War of Attrition World of Warcraft can be when it comes to having self-healing, having defensive and things like that.
Yeah, where it's almost like some situations in Classic where maybe you overpull and it's not an instant death, but it is a slow death unless you play pretty well.
Yeah, so it is a little interesting.
I've always found those to be compelling in gameplay. Like, those moments where you live with like 5% health and you're like, oh my god, if I took 1 or 2 more swings, I would have been dead. And that ends up feeling quite good.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that. And obviously, compared to Classic, World of Warcraft now is extremely mechanically heavy.
Oh, yeah.
So there's obviously, like, every time I died to something, I was like, there's like 47 buttons I could have pressed. And even knowing that, I was like, okay, well, if I learn Hunter, I'll be able to do this. And he's like, I easily could have freezing trapped that. I easily could have steel trapped and made some different distance from that guy. I clearly could have, like, I wasn't optimizing my mend pet, so I wasn't up all time, so my pet died. Like, if I had optimized that better, it would have been fine. When did I exhale? Did I exhale for me or did I exhale for my pet? Did I survival of the fittest for me or my pet? Because now you have 2 charges survival of the fittest. We'll talk about Hunter Rework in a bit.
That'll be interesting in low sustain classes.
That's where Brand's healing is going to be very, very, very important, I think. But also there's like, you can not need so much sustain if you are 1, vaguely careful, 2, play the game half decently. If you've got plenty CC, like a rogue, for example, just like saps and blinds and gouges and stuff, it's gonna be a little bit slower than just pull everything AoE, but you will be able to like have less problems.
So that's like some of our combat gameplay. When we move into puzzles, not puzzles as in an overt something appears in your screen and you solve it, but environmental gameplay like traversal throughout the space. Is it still mostly a hold W key, path yourself decently between mobs, or like you mentioned a grapple hook? So yeah. What are we like in terms of? People think of say Tomb Raider, and it is more than just Lara Croft shooting dinosaurs, or whatever happens in the old PS1 games. Like there is the the exploration, the traversal. So I know that they've wanted to get that maybe adventure-ish feel in delves, or like gameplay differentiation between runs of the same delve in different weeks.
So if you wanted to be extremely, I can't really figure out the right term for it. If you wanted to reduce things down to their base inputs, it is hold W a lot of the time, but there is enough little bits of flavor added to the way you're holding W, to how you're jumping around, how you're being thrown around, things like that, that it does make them feel a little bit more like adventure kind of things. It's not super. No, I have not tried them with a group yet. I've just been doing them solo. I assume a group would make them way easier, just because you have access to more utility for the same mobs, unless they have a lot of different skilling. But I don't know. I know people were saying group stuff was bugged in beta as well, so I didn't try that. Just crashing for them with 2 people and stuff like that. So to talk about the traversal point a little bit more, I guess I'll give a few examples. There's the Mycelium Cavern. I can't remember. Some mushroom cavern, basically. And it's there's a lot of verticality to it. And the verticality is handled by mushrooms that you bounce on. Yeah. So you jump on a mushroom, it just goes, up you go. And in that, there's usually a rare mob that gives you a double jump as well if you kill it. And those are rare elites that actually will kill you if you're not careful. And it gives you a mycelium, yeah. So it gives you a lot of specific stuff that you'll feel that you'll enjoy while you're doing that, which I very much appreciated. It doesn't feel super amazing because it is World of Warcraft. They're moving your character up in a way. Obviously, they're a little limited. They don't have it's nothing like the gameplay of
limitations are still there.
Yeah, it's not like the gameplay of the Dalaran magic jumpy world quest from Legion, which I still miss. But there's that as one example. There's also the Nightfall one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a cavern hollow fall, and you're taking out the Nightfall. You're destroying the shadow barriers by you start at the start of the delve, and instead of going linearly through it, you hop on a ballista, get launched to the end. You pick up some sanctified oil that they've stolen, and then you use that to destroy all these shadow barriers on your way back to the start. And then you can fight the boss at the start of the delve and just walk out after, which is fun. Most of them are you go to the end and then you get teleported out. So it is even the way you go to the end first, obviously, but even that feels a little bit more engaging because you're properly jumping into the back end of delve.
Warmer. Things are getting warmer.
Substantially, yeah.
That's really positive.
Oh yeah. Delves, I don't know if I'll be super excited to them, but I will be, the prospect of doing a bunch of them on a bunch of different classes, especially as the tiers get higher.
And if you're getting gear, do you think that, because Torghast we were doing just for our legendaries, and that ended up making Torghast, hello, Mr. Cat, there we go, it did switch, woo. That made Torghast just ultimately feel like a chore. So even if you could enjoy going through the regular 6-floor Torghast that they shipped, it would eventually turn into a chore because you're just doing it for Ash and Cinders. So here, if you're doing the delves for the sake of doing the delves, but also to get the keys, and then to open the resplendent chests at the end, do you feel like that loot reward, delve to delve, will end up being compelling in a way that will... Well, I suppose... I'm almost answering my own question because I just realized, when you do delves, you fill up the Great Vault. And I know that we have had, criticisms of Great Vault before, but compared to just doing a bunch of Torghast purely only for legendary crafting materials, this does seem like the reward loop is not going to lead to that, extremely demotivational week-to-week situation.
Yeah, so you end up with, I think, the grand strategy that they devised through Dragonflight with the upgrade system, and how everything feeds into that just works pretty well, because you'll get your weekly source of upgrade from them if you go in with a key. I haven't played around getting keys and stuff like that all that much, so I'm not super sure how that'll feel. I do know just going in and doing them for fun and getting a handful of crests feels okay. It's not very many, but it's also if you do a delve fast, you're in out 5-7 minutes. So obviously it's very you could do 10 delves in an hour if you were really getting for it.
If you start out going half that speed and then within 2 or 3 weeks of gearing you're going significantly faster, that's actually going to feel good.
And not even just gearing, it'll be the fun part of it is there'll be optimizations in your movement. That's for sure. Like one of the things in the Hollowfall one specifically with the Nightfall was, as a hunter, obviously having disengage.
Yes.
And this is like a pretty big area. And there's like 6 hotspots you have to get to. And they're like click things. If I were to be smart and use camouflage and feign death instead of fighting things, I was mostly fighting things because I wanted to see how Hunter felt. I could have been way faster if I had like, you know, especially like, because I play a Feral Druid mostly. If I went in there as a Feral Druid, I would be in and out in 5 minutes because I would be able to immediately, especially because I'm an Night Elf, I'd be able to, you know, stealth in, click a thing, shadow melt out.
Now, there's ways that could be a problem. Does killing... Because you know, like sometimes in a game when you have an objective to go to and then you pull a mob, it's like, I gotta do this mob. That's not gonna get... The vast
majority... Or
do you feel like it's actually pretty good? Because say in a game like Diablo, if you pull a whole bunch of extra mobs, well, that's kind of okay because they're XP and you can use that.
The vast majority of actual fight time and like health pools and danger is specified around elite mobs and bosses.
Okay.
And most of the time they're very smart when they throw those at you. Like if you're just like picking some fights that are around, they die super quick. I noticed that and I was like, is this right? Is there something wrong here? Because I was like pulling an elite and be like, I'm fighting for my life here. This is a horrible nightmare. Jesus Christ, help me. To be fair, this was like
It's all gone wrong.
Yeah, I had just woken up. I was super like dazed because it was the middle of the day. I woke up and I died to the same elite like 3 times in a row because of the mechanic that I didn't use my eyeballs to understand. But
lovely.
Then I was killing other mobs around the area and I was just like, and there's a, you know, multi-shot kill command. Oh, where'd they go? Oh, they're all like mostly dead already, yes. Like in a couple of button presses, like an explosive shot, multi-shot, kill command, they would actually just be dead. But then the elite would be like, right now I have to press my cooldown to fight them for a minute and a half.
Right.
And like keep my eye on interrupting the right thing, keep my eye on, say, I won't interrupt the thing that buffs them because I have trank shot. So all I need to do is watch for that cast, throw a trank shot as soon as it's finished. Their haste buff is negated. I keep the interrupt for, you know, the muzzle counter shot for something else.
God damn, you just mentioned trank shot.
Yeah.
It's using utility.
Yeah.
You're almost, man, you're in dangerous territory. You're about to make me mention a Cataclysm Heroic. It's very dangerous.
Like, yeah, that's clearly what they're going for.
Good shit.
And I think the fact that they're building up all of their utility over that, and it's mostly been in the context of Mythic Plus Dungeons so far.
Yeah.
It works really well for single player stuff. Now, I haven't taken some of the weaker classes in utility form. Like, I haven't taken, like, because it'd be kind of, I suppose Shaman's got Purge and Cap Totem and Self-Healing, so that's okay. I would maybe be a little bit concerned about taking a Rogue in. Obviously, they've got a lot of CC, but, you know, CC only gets you so far. I know they've got like Cloak of Shadow and stuff, and probably and
Shiv, it's not that you can play well and
like
do well,
Shiv
probably.
is a soothe now, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like Warrior might slightly struggle, but then Warrior's got 1,000 cooldowns and heals for 1 billion. Every like, you know, you got second wind, so you just literally jump away in line of sight and you're fine.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's actually probably fine once I get down to it.
Right.
But,
so we essentially are actually looking pretty up here.
Yeah.
That's
very
fucking heartening.
I'm very, very up on Dells playing them beta.
That's really goddamn heartening because, like, there was I don't want to say a fear, but there was that, like, when we were at the Creator event, everyone's like, oh, we all knew that we had done Island Expeditions in Torghast before. And we went into that very first delve. We're like, the hot fix is, or not the hot fix, the affix is there's like a little bit of goo in the floor, a little bit of Nerubian goo, walk slowly, but no, if it's then actually, yeah, sorry, I know I'm a little bit scatterbrained today.
I'll give a different example to kind of help illustrate, and that is, I remember the Kriegville's Rest, the other one in the Isle of Dorn, which is
good Arakoa noise.
Yeah, which is the
he's speaking to the birds.
Which is the kobold one with the candle, right? It's the candle, and you have to carry the candle around. They've tuned it well, so if you're really dumb with your movement, the candle does drain just before you get to another one. So like you do feel a little bit of the pressure if you really mess about and piss about. But one of the things I laughed about was in the initial version, and I wish I could, I wish this was like an edited video so I could just be like, here's the two comparisons. But like the comparison of the first time I did it,
Do you think we may have an edited video in the works?
maybe
This is sounding video worthy.
yeah. So there's the old version where
Getting excited.
there was like the trap was, here are two candles and they're shooting fire in like a gate, and they would shoot for like 3 seconds, stop for 3 seconds, shoot for things or whatever time it was, and you could also jump around the side of the candle as well. You could also do that. But also it didn't really do any damage. And it also, there's like 3 of those in the whole dungeon. And then I did it on tier 7. I think it was tier 7, tier 6, might have been something along those lines anyway. And it wasn't particularly challenging because this was me as prop paladin. I just kind of walked over because I could heal myself forever and lay on hands and stuff. But what actually did happen was I was like, this dungeon's on fire. The candles are no longer shooting the straight line. They're now the flame traps that shoot like in a 180-degree line and rotate. And there's like 7 of them in a room. And you go into every room and it's like, oh, fuck. Oh, I have to time my walk to this. Oh, there's enemies. I have to pull enemies out of the flames. I have to move through here without getting hit by the fire, which hits me for like 20% of my health attack. And I'm like, so even if I just sprint through it, I'm probably going to die. So I do have to be careful unless I like bubble and stuff. So there's a lot of, you've just thrown more stuff into this and it's worked.
Yeah.
It's like
That's the bit that matters, that it worked.
Yeah.
Thinking of Island Expeditions. Like Island Expeditions, I'd almost bring them up because there was quite a lot of potential. And Island Expeditions in PvP is actually a pretty compelling game mode. I don't want to say that it's like Gambit in Destiny, because it's not like Gambit in Destiny, but it is that sort of like PvEVP thing. The thing is, a lot of the design they threw in there ended up just completely not mattering because of gear, right? Like the way that it scaled. So this is all extremely heartening stuff. Now, there are things to talk about with Delves beyond just your gameplay. Because looking at the stream notes, we do have Blizzard adding in some broader progression for Delves in the form of meta achievements, which to me is kind of exciting. Kind of says you can actually try to play Delves at a high level, and in the same way that you can do, a boss with a few handicaps and you'll get a glory achievement. It seems they're supporting that, so I think that's really positive. It also tells me something about design intent, and speaking of that, they also updated the developer notes for Delves with this wave of testing, so we can check in and see what they've said about their design goals. Let's hope we don't just find a post saying they're a bit too hard right now, we're going to tune them down to the next build.
I really hope not, because
I
had fun, and like you had to try to die sometimes, basically. Or like the boss
Generally don't approve of that sort of thing here.
Yeah, what's the example? The one I died to loads was Spider Boy Anub Ivar or something in the Hall of Fame. He had impaling spikes. And I was like, oh, look at that. A swirly that, a set of swirlies that tracks. Swirly under your feet, step away. Second swirly under your feet, step away. Third swirly under your feet. Right, fine. I know how to do that. I've played World of Warcraft my entire effective fucking life. So, I play a lot of games.
Effective life.
Yeah.
So that's a funny measure.
Do you really exist before you're like 12? I don't know. Obviously, yes. But, aside from that, the thing you do whenever there's sorties and you're trying to use trying to use space efficiently, you're trying to move efficiently, which I didn't have to because I was a BM hunter. But I did anyway because of habit. And the way it's like, you step in a triangle. So you go, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, and you move back onto the spot that was free. Or like you even sidestep and back's free. Except the spikes stayed and knocked me into other spikes.
Oh, lovely.
So I was like, I'm just going to autopilot my, what I do with swirlies. And then I stepped onto the swirly after it came up, and it knocked me into another swirly, and I died. I was like, damn, you got me.
You just got Warcraft.
Yeah, and then the next time it's like, I just strafe one direction. Fine, that's okay.
I think the thing is that they'll need to, because I know for some people it's like, I don't mean to be. It's really challenging because sometimes you see player feedback that is like, your example, you got hit by one thing and it knocked you into another thing, knocked you into another thing. And while you are sitting there looking at your character, bouncing from pain to pain to pain, you don't really have control over your character because, you're in midair, you can't move. Some people see that, think, I'm dead, loss of control, I'm angry, this isn't... You know what I mean? In terms of player feedback. So I hope that Blizzard have got... I don't want to say the courage, but... The difficulty, if we're going to have good gear on it, the difficulty actually does need to go up to a pretty legit level. I hope they have the courage to actually keep it like that. Because they've really... in the past, they've always undershot difficulty in non-mythic dungeon and raid content. And I suppose lately, with normal raids, they kind of have undershot difficulty, maybe? Or maybe that's just me being controversial, I'm not exactly... sure.
I have a funny feeling these will be outgeared though.
Yes, fair.
Because this is very giving me the you go in with a recommended item level. Obviously, recommended item levels are usually substantially lower than people actually do content in.
It's like the Mythic Zero, when you're doing your Mythic Zero World Tour at the start of an expansion, and you're undergeared for the Mythic Dungeons, and suddenly the dungeons are really fun and you're having a great time. Because, the boss fights last 2.5, 3... Whoa, hello, fly. Moth. Yeah, the boss fights last 2.5, 3 minutes, and you end up feeling accomplished at the end. I guess at the very least, it is nice that exists for Delves, and it is nice that you can have that gameplay experience on your alts as you gear them up, which I think is where this could be potentially quite strong.
This is going to do... depends exactly on how these achievements look, to be honest with you. Because if you turn around and tell me you get achievements for doing these in a bunch of classes, I would do them. They would spark full Legion Mage Tower in me again.
Yeah.
Because I really like the gameplay of trying different classes in solo stuff. I don't like trying different classes in M+ very often because it is just... I go get a group and then the whole M+ score and gearing loop and stuff like that. But if it's just here's do some content, bro.
So what we got here is to do all the delves at tier 8.
That's
and then
gonna be easy.
and then specific achievements for each one. So a little bit kind of a little bit like a raid meta achievement. That is though at tier 8. Now we do know that the difficulty levels I believe go up to 12. It would be nice to see there be some sort of achievement reward for doing the hard modes. I think it makes no sense if those exist just to be there, be harder, but not really get you anything at all. There needs to be some sort of bragging rights stuff for doing all the delves at 12. If they actually... Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna scroll down in the notes.
Yeah, so there's
requires
Nemesis.
seasonal AOTC type achievement. Something that differentiates this from the standard raid style glory metas, though, is that one of the required achievements is Nemesis, which is awarded for defeating Zekvir before the release of the next season of Delves. Zekvir then is the 13th Delve. I have to assume that Zekvir is the boss.
Yeah, Zekvir is one of Xal'atath's lieutenants, and he is present in all of them, as not story-wise, but as an affix in a way. So one of the things is Zekvir's chosen or something like that, and he'll show up and he'll be there in spirit form, shooting things at you or empowering mobs and stuff like that in the kind of seasonal affix way, which is very good. So he'll be the 13th Delve, and that's unlocked after all of them at tier 11. So this will be hard.
Yeah, Blizzard is saying this is Mage Tower-like. That's exciting to me, and we've got 3 achievements here. Nemesis, which is defeat him before the next season of Delves, getting us a cosmetic back piece called Zekvir's Spine. Hunting the Hunter, defeat him on, I guess, the max tier. And then you also... What? Okay, so one is just to defeat him at all, and then the other one is to defeat him at a given tier, which will get you Ascension Breaker as a title, and then another one is the same, again, at some sort of, maybe tier. We could assume tier 12, probably the highest 11, tier, 12, which gets you an airship customization void, which does sound like it'd be pretty cool, and the airship is pretty sick. Looks cool.
Yeah.
I know you thought I was insane at the time, but just the way that it's like your little pod thing that has some sort of wing at the top, it just totally reminds me of like Mario Kart customization.
Yeah.
Even though I know it is not like Mario Kart. But who knows? Right. Maybe we'll get dynamic ground mounts. Wouldn't that be crazy, Blizzard? So the next thing then is we've got developer notes on Delves. So this will be kind of interesting. Obviously, we've really talked about all the stuff, but there's probably more info from them. So they've said that before Season 1, Tiers 1, 2, and 3 are available. Okay. And then when Season 1 begins, Tiers 4 through 11 open up, as well as new mechanics in Tier 4 and above, which includes, as you just said there, Zekvir. So the death counters, do you know how those work?
Yes. I don't know how it works with. I think it's like you get less rewards. I think if you run out of counters, I think you can still use a key in the box, but you don't progress unless you beat it without dying so many times. That's
fair and much preferable to a timer.
A timer would be dog shit. The death is way makes more sense for how these are designed as well, and they've been clearly designed in mind. In the same way they were there in Torghast, it's like, actually think about what you're doing. Don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. All those sorts of things. Like, be careful with your pulls. You get some chances to learn a boss mechanic, but also like bosses don't suddenly do like new mechanics at higher levels. It'll just be the boss is the same, but it's harder now. You have to be careful. You have to do more damage. You have to maximize things. Bring your potions. Bring your drums. Bring your things like that. Will be very important. Use your cooldowns of the right mobs, things like that. The death counters it was 5 deaths from 4 to 8, and then on tier 9 I had 4 deaths, which means you're allowed 3, I think.
Okay.
So it is just a case of, don't just go in and die loads unless you just want to plow through to the end and do it for the sake of it. I don't know if death counter will. So death counter doesn't lock you out. You still finish, but you will miss cosmetics and unlock them next year.
This is all.
But I think you will
quite player friendly.
Yeah, you will still. I assume this means you'll still be able to get the the Great Vault thing if you just do it.
I guess the way I'd put it is, there's something about the granular antagonism. Fuck me, that sounds way too highfalutin.
Highfalutin.
The granular antagonism of the timer, where it's very much
it is a constant.
What was it called?
Pressure.
No, it wasn't called Monkey Jungle. What was it called? Jungle Run. Jungle Run. Jungle Run, the children's television show in the UK. I think you've had similar ones in America where it's almost like Gladiator, but like it's just a bunch of kids doing it, and they've got to solve puzzles and jump and things and all of that. And there's always a timer. At the very end of Jungle Run, they've got to make their way through this, like, basically at the end of a Jungle Run episode, they have to do a delve. Like, they straight up do a delve that has 3 puzzle rooms, and you can just the timer, the sheer stress of the timer is insane. And I know that, like, look, just looking at video comments, Crystal Maze.
I really, really want to be on the Crystal Maze.
Oh, that'd be great.
So badly.
Yeah.
I would be so terrible. It'd be hilarious.
The Crystal Maze theme tune stuck in my head too. But yeah, it's like, it's very granular with, it's granular. It's pressure every second. That's the fucking definition. Whereas if it's deaths, there is pressure, but you can stop and take a breather, and you're not going to lose your death. And I think that's a fundamentally different punishment experience.
Yeah, you can literally it's when you die, you go, oh, well, I made a mistake.
I guess that's the game setting and defining its rules, which is the rules are 5 deaths and you don't get whatever, versus we're just going to continually, pressure you with a timer. So there are like 2 ways of achieving the same thing, but they have a different texture, I think, for the player experience. So
yeah, death counters would make less sense in Mythic Dungeons, stuff like that, just because things work. That would be insane.
Yeah.
But here, it is like you have all the time in the world to like figure out how you're going to do things, and a lot of the times, if you die, it's mostly impatience or not understanding a mechanic. And then you just check your death recap and go, what killed me? Oh, I took I took 1.6 million damage per tick from Bog Trap. What was that? Hover over the tooltip. You take stacking damage while within 10 yards of the Bog Trap. Cool. Next time I'll move out of the Bog Trap. I'm pretty sure I wasn't moved out of the Bog Trap. And then next time I get hit by Bog Trap and I move out of it and it doesn't break. And I go, oh, it's a bug. Oh no. Am I going to be able to clear this delve? Am I going to be able to beat this boss? Because most like rare elites and mobs and stuff like that. I am a very fidgety person in the microphone. I apologize. But the rare elites and things like that will keep their health if you die to them. But bosses and elites don't. So if you die to a rare because you didn't expect it to do a fucking whoopsie doodle got you attack, you're like, shit, whatever. It's fine. Loss of death count, can go get it. But you need to actually be able to clear a boss and beat a boss properly, which is very, very nice. So you get to come back and go, right, I will give this another attempt. What have I learned from last time? So for me, in that case, I was like, well, Bog Trap stacks up, so I'll wait until it's one tick from killing me and then Turtle to break it. And then while I'm turtled, I'll run over Brand's healing potion to heal myself up, and then I'll be fine. I'll be able to sort them out. And then I did that, and it was completely sorted. I was able to do it just in the nick of time because pets are OP, and I still don't really like them very much, but they're OP. So so there you go.
I think this is the one time where pets do feel good, though.
Oh yeah,
like way back in the day, I remember
one of the best time ever. Like
so I remember back like playing just in Wrath, just soloing things as a hunter, and it was great fun. And I suppose it's opened up to more people now. So, right, that's good. As for our boy, Mr. Zach Veer, so they say they have their mysterious 13th delve, but he will prove a threat throughout delves, even if he's not physically there. Random groups of enemies will receive various boons. Champion the boons!
Yeah.
So as you go higher in tiers, more groups will be chosen, and they will become booners. And that'll be great for them.
Yeah, that worked specifically well because there was ones where
It worked well.
Yeah,
This is crazy town, Matt.
It is. Yeah,
there is a new gameplay feature in World of Warcraft that's not bread and butter like what World of Warcraft does, and it's actually shaping up pretty good.
Yeah. So one example which is fun was I had no AoE whatsoever when I was running through. One of them was marksmanship.
So I hear from the state of their talents.
Because I just decided I'll take everything except that. I'll see what I can do with like my wheeling arrow and like, because you've got explosive shot is in the middle of the class tree, so you'll always have explosive shot for some AoE. You'll always have. Well, I took the serpent sting spreads when you hit a target that already has it with an aim shot, because now serpent sting for marksmanship is applied passively by aim shot, passively by kill shot, Cobra shot, multi-shot for BM, and possibly from Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite on survival. But anyway, I had some AoE, but I decided to take none, like just whatever. Wheeling out is AoE, explosive shot, serpenting, that's all I'll need. Because I'm mostly taking single mobs down with like small tiny ones around. And then Zach Fear was like, when you kill my boys for this like mob pack, they will explode into little skittering spiderlings that hurt like hell. Lovely. And have like no HP. I'm like, I can't hit them all. Oh shit. So it was me running around in a circle with like running around a tar trap circle going, please die. Tab arcane shot, tab rapid fire tabbing, trying to get them all killed in time. And that was like one thing that was just a Zekfir thing that worked for like a little bit of flavor there. And then the next, like another pack and a different thing, Zekfir had like his stand hovering there, spared form standing there, just charging an arrow and firing it at me. And I'm like, I'm trying to dodge the elite's fucking spikes. I'm trying to not get hit by these melee boys that are running after me that my pet can't pick up because it only has one taunt. It's taunting the elite guy. I've got them slowed, whatever. I've got some CC. I'm running around in circles. And now this fucker's firing arrows at me. And it was the right, at least to me, it was the right amount of, this has just got a little extra bit of cognitive load that is fucking dodge the wrench. And I'm like, okay. Dodge the wrench while also dodging everything else. Okay, sure, that's fine. And I actually enjoy it. Like this. That was like a good addition, in the way that theoretically, storming and volcanic are additional cognitive load, but you don't want that. Plus, in delves are designed for a bit more to be like, there's room for more, which is cool.
Do you remember what we sort of... Well, in Torghast, we kind of realized that there's a problem with unavoidable damage in World of Warcraft. So you just described a gameplay scenario where you were using your, patented gamer skills, TM, hard learned over 31 years of life, and you were able to reduce your incoming damage by dodging shit. Whereas one of the problems in Torghast is you would eventually, to get a good enough score in Torghast, or, whatever, you would eventually end up feeling like you had to go pretty fast. And that then turned the gameplay, I guess the timer did this, that turned the gameplay into chain AoE and just pray you kill them fast enough because you don't have the interrupts to deal with the incoming damage from all of the interruptible sources, which would be overlapping, and then the non-interruptible. So what does the incoming damage profile feel like?
It kind of depends. For regular mobs, you just do whatever the fuck you want. CC them, whatever, it's fine. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It does feel like you won't be able to do a delve that's way above your gear level. Because you will just die to being shot by spells that you can't interrupt them all. That's just going to happen. That's why Prop Paladin was very strong in the ones that I did, because I was just like, oh, what's that? You've got loads of spells? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because I can block them for a start, but also I have Avenger Shield, the Divine Toll, I have, Rebuke, I have Hammer of Justice. I don't give a shit. You're not casting a spell. And that worked well for that. There's definitely a case of Brand's healing and also your own ability to use defensives correctly will help you push through. But there's definitely a lot of unavoidable damage. But I guess
Bran is there, and Bran didn't exist in Torghast.
Yeah, it's designed unavoidable damage, and it's not unavoidable damage that's going to scale until you get exploded. Was the vision in Torghast was you keep going until you hit the wall of scaling gets you. They've largely obviously the whole thing is the tier is scaling and then some additional stuff. So the scaling is still there, but it's not as ridiculous. It's not as and now this spell one shot you. At least you can outgear your defensiveness and healing a little bit in some capacity there.
So what I do like is just their ending note here in testing is, are some tiers too hard for a class? Is tier 11 too easy? Let's find out. Good tone. Yeah. Good tone that they ended it with. Is it too easy?
Yeah,
I like that. Ask me for a challenge.
At the minute, I would say they're a bit too easy, but I haven't played on a load of classes. More or less. I'm very happy with them so far. I look forward to playing more. I don't know if I'll super test a bunch of them, but I'll probably at least do an 11 on a class or two. Maybe try Feral, because that's my actual class. And I'll see how well it works, because Feral's a wee bit weak on some utility stuff, so I'll have to kind of get that right. But yeah, good. Not bad. Far from it. Substantially better than I'd expect them to be honest. I was expecting to go in and go, slightly better.
Yeah, okay. Good. Look at that, everyone. Good news. Incredible. Just to think, maybe 2 short years ago, it was patch 9.1 time. So the turns have indeed tabled.
Change can happen if someone wills it strongly enough.
And speaking of change, John Height is now John Gone, which makes no sense. But John Height is
if only he was called John High, then you could say John Bye. Damn it, John, change your name.
He does go by John_gamer on Twitter, which that's a Twitter tag that I really like. Anyway, so John is leaving, and I think it's worth talking about, mostly because I think we can talk about how this, at least to me, feels like a fairly managed departure. So for a while, John was, he'd be doing the big announcements at BlizzCon. Slowly over time, that has went to Holly. And Holly's been doing more of the press stuff. Holly was doing the Xbox podcast. I think in times gone by, John would have been doing the Xbox podcast along with Ian. So what I basically see here is this probably came deep. This was probably known about well in advance. And there's probably been a reasonable succession plan, because it does overall look like Holly was slowly doing more of the public role that John had done. And I suppose that would make sense if John is sort of preparing to make an exit in a good way. That's just what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I like. There's certainly times where you see someone leave a company and you go, "Oh dear, they're fleeing the sinking ship." You see that, or you see like, "Oh, things aren't great," and they're getting getting yoinked by someone with more money or better.
It's like he's leaving well better than he found it.
Yeah, definitely. And there is like a case of clearly he's like, "Yeah, this is cool, but I kind of want to move on now." You're like, fair enough. After 13 years, I could certainly imagine you'd be a wee bit tired of it. Even if
And even if you do like it and you're very passionate about the game, being responsible for 500 plus people. I mean, that's the World of Warcraft development team. Who knows other development teams? So maybe 600 plus people. Like being responsible for that many people and budgets of that size, that is extremely stressful. And it's one of those things like in a position like that, yeah, you're obviously well compensated financially. But the reason why is because if you cock up, it will actually screw loads of people. And, I think a lot of people who do a good job in that position are very aware of the negatives if they cock up. So I think there's an inherent level of stress in that. I mean, everyone's a bit different with it, but there's the old joke of Obama's accelerated aging during his during his 2 terms.
What do you mean joke?
Yeah,
you could see that clear as day.
I can do that looking at myself in videos. I'm like, oh my god. If I ever meet him, I'll be like, damn, I know what you mean, dude. You just sometimes age really quickly out of nowhere. Isn't it crazy? Or like, Yoshi P, where you can tell like he is like in his heart and spirit looks so good to go. But there are times where it's like, man, that really was you with the Red Bull lying on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Which is to say, I guess it's tough job, a lot of responsibility. I can certainly see, and it is a bit of a trend. A lot of people, it's sort of big roles like that, they end up maybe moving to heading a studio of like 30, 40, 50, maybe 90, whatever people. Now, of course, we're in a very different games funding environment right now. Indeed, just a few hours ago, one of the people who work with Devolver Digital, Matt, have shut down. There's been quite a few company shutters lately, and there's not a massive amount of money sort of floating around there. Oh my god, I can't find them.
Money top, go by.
Yeah, so like a few years ago, I think you would have just said, oh yeah, clearly something's happened. The money tab's open and now you can go and take your experience away from 600 plus people and insane literal billions of dollars level responsibility, to somewhere else. Now he did say, he didn't reveal what he's doing, but he did say he's remaining in games. So, if it's a situation where, yay, our games industry didn't chew someone up and they quit. Like, the BioWare founders, they, I think they quit shortly after Mass Effect 3 and decided to open a brewery and get out of games.
Yeah, that's the correct move.
Yeah.
Getting out of video games is unanimously the correct move. Everyone who's ever left video games has said that. They're like, my life is way better. There was someone...
Mass Effect 3 came out. Okay.
Yes, did.
Dragon Age 2 came out, was developed in under 18 months. Mass Effect 3 came out 2 years and 2 months after Mass Effect 2. Like, that's insane. So you can totally see how the BioWare founders at that stage were just like, fuck it, we're out. Nope, no more of this.
Yeah, especially working under the EA of that era.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been no crack whatsoever, to put it very lightly. Very lightly. No, there's someone I saw recently. I don't know who they were. Just, Twitter surfacing someone to my feed. And they were saying, in order to continue making games, they decided to leave the games industry.
Galvanic Games are the people who shut down.
Oh, okay, right.
Who did Wizard with a Gun? Which came out at some point in time.
Never heard of it. Unfortunately, that's probably why they're closed.
Could be, but yeah. Money.
Sad.
Money is hard.
Yeah, the money tap is turned off, and everyone's like, because that was the thing. I was like, where did John Hyde go? Obviously, we don't know, but it's not. We're not in the era of Tencent turning around, but like, hello, Western game development leader. we have 100 million in cash for you. Would you like to get 20 of your friends and make us a big game?
You know what? Their game actually looks pretty sick. Little co-op, online sandbox survival game for 1 to 4 players. Some sort of like, twin stick shooter action RPG-ish gameplay. Looks quite nice. Very positive, 80%, 2,100 reviews since October 2023. That's a case where chances are they have not seen a lot of money from that game. So the thing that a lot of people, they think is like, okay, so you're a developer, you make a game, your game comes out, and then using the money you've made from that game, you make the next game. Well, it doesn't work like that. Unless, if you have a relative who just gives you 500 grand or, some sort of trust fundy situation or, you fund it yourself by remortgaging your house, Sean Murray, Hello Games, then, it's going to be publisher money. So if Wizard with a Gun had a budget of like, let's just say 800 grand randomly, or let's say 800 grand, right? Well,
£1.50.
Who knows how much that recoup would actually be? Because with some developers, or some publishers, you basically don't get any money until the publisher's fully paid up. Whereas for some, it's a revenue split. Like, thankfully for us, it was a revenue split, and that, that was definitely very useful. So that's a situation there where likely they were getting no money from the game they released, and because the funding environment is a mess, really a mess, they were not able to get whatever projects they had signed with a new publisher. So at that stage, like, your royalty as a developer is dessert. It's not what you plan financial stability around. Like, a development studio's job is to develop games. So you find funding and develop games, and if the royalties are great and you have a big win, that's awesome. But you're like year to year, sustainability is generally publishing deals and that sort of thing. So that's just, one example of that. Of course, we've seen so many, from small to premium indies go. So, yeah, a bit weird. Don't really know where John is. That being said, when you're dealing with maybe more angel investor-like people, like, say, the Morheims, who really knows? I have to imagine Mike's Blizzard stock served him quite well.
I assume so. I'm imagining that was like my first thought was like, did Dreamhaven to say, yeah, John, you're looking over for the crack. We kind of need someone who manages stuff. He's like, fuck it, why not? But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I don't think this is super important for the game itself. I don't feel like there's going to be like a massive change. It's just maybe this slowly shows a somewhat slower uptick in their franchise plans than before. Maybe, possibly, but that is like, that's full if you want to read in as deep as you can. It would be, maybe the general manager of the franchise didn't have enough to manage and moved on. But there's no evidence behind that. It's literally just hearsay. Or not hearsay.
Yeah, he's not going to be like, speculation. You know what? Running this $1 billion franchise with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of staff, I don't have enough to manage. I need to go somewhere else to find more.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? In terms of like Holly's the executive producer of World of Warcraft, so obviously he's not going to be, he's not going to be stepping on her feet too much.
Well, we do know multiple. So I know that, like, for a lot of us, we see Warcraft Rumble and our eyes kind of roll, or we go, Ilamau. And whenever I see how Warcraft Rumble is balanced, yes, I agree. Of course, we have the fun testimony of our esteemed Guildie, who has been playing that game pretty much free to play from the start, and I'm pretty sure he's like nowhere near to knocking out Onyxia. So that's something. What I will say with Rumble, though, is there's loads of really, really good design elements in it, and it's quite clearly crafted with quite a lot of love and care. Like, the visual presentation's great. And
Rumble is a great video game, but a very bad mobile game service.
Yes. It, of course, looking at Blue Archive, man, it needed lots of characters to collect that had stories.
Yeah,
and yeah, actually, that narrative layer, that I think that's one of the big things where they released a King-inspired Western mobile game, whereas actually, I think what people would want is, well, that, but with character and story, especially as proven by Hearthstone solo adventures and how those have actually done a really good job of capturing Warcraft. So I know that John, whenever I saw him, there's times he kind of someone seems like, oh yeah, I'm genuinely excited. His like go-to thing at BlizzCon before War Within was like, oh, how are you enjoying Rumble? And I was like, you know what? I played it in the plane. Thumbs up, good time. Plane Wi-Fi, not a consistent place to play Warcraft Rumble, I must say. But it could be that there's then other projects that did die a few years back, because remember they had multiple mobile projects. I think they had other things within incubation that died. So maybe if a lot of his passions ended up being in those, and yes, he feels like he's had 12 years there, but maybe a lot of the things that he drove during that 12 years, you know, with incubation unit that was ran by Alan Adam, maybe those didn't pan out and it makes sense to do something new.
Unceremoniously dropped off a cliff, like most of their mobile games, it seems. Most of their plans for everything it isn't to make World of Warcraft good, please. Which, to be fair, I'm not going to argue with as a plan.
I'm not going to argue with that. I must say, though, playing Hearthstone Battlegrounds, I think it is a marvelously designed game.
You're an addict.
It doesn't have, like, the Battlegrounds format. I think they could go way harder with it in terms of, like, progression, rewards, narrative framing. Like, it's a real...
Oh, yeah, they could have made it a game.
Yeah, it's a real... Right now, it's just a fun mode, but, like, it really has the potential to go far. So... I suppose anyway, that's the situation with John. The next thing, though, is, Matt, what you were actually doing within those delves, because you're deceiving us. You, in fact, went into the delves to do something else, and that was to test the Hunter rework. So we have a video coming out on this tomorrow. I recorded it last night. Things certainly seem quite promising. The bit that actually, you know, of reading what you prepared for the video, the bit that got me was the consuming 2 stacks of precise shots with eagle talons, whatever.
Eagle talons, true focus, yeah.
Because it would always be you have so many stacks of that, you're sitting there in true shot, and it's like, how the fuck do I spend all this shit properly?
You're swimming in aim shots and you want to press aim shot, but you know you shouldn't because you need to fire your 2 arcane shots off.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel good.
Your focus is getting weird, and then you're like, well, I need my focus back, so I'll rapid fire. Oh, no, I've just wasted like 4 aim shots. Fuck my life.
It felt like, I mean, honestly, it felt unfinished to me, because that was a clear like point of friction within the play experience. Like, I mean, basic usability testing, where our rotation has created this situation. The user doesn't really have enough inputs to manage the situation reasonably. It just feels like that's a bit of the design that doesn't work. And they didn't do anything about it for years. But now it does work.
So,
or at least works better.
This is, I think, the story of a lot of classes is them fixing resources and how the resource flow. Now that they've got talents in a decent enough spot, or did anyway, and have the buttons in a good spot, they're focusing on actually making sure everything works. What they say here about solidify rotational gameplay. Because to hop to another example very briefly is Unholy Death Knight.
Oh.
Unholy DK. I hated playing that. I played it on beta and I went, oh, this works now. Oh, it works now. Oh, thank God for that. I haven't played it extensively, but with them changing, like, so sudden doom doesn't make your death coils free. There's a couple other different things about like rune power generation, rune power spending. They fixed up, and it feels more like, oh, I have the right amount of resources now. I'm not swimming in them. I'm not sitting screaming at my runic power bar to go away because I'm overcapped. Same happens on Frost, and they saw a little bit of that as well. And a lot of what they did to Hunter, to me, at least for marksmanship and beast mastery, is fix that. There's a huge amount of, it just flows. Now, all 3 still have, and I think this is a little bit of the war within development philosophy, and I really wish I could like sit down with like the class designers and like for like an hour or 2 hours and be like, listen, could we please talk about all of your philosophy behind all of the decisions you're making? Because you make all the decisions with intentionality. What is the goal? Am I right in suggesting this is the goal? And there's a lot of them have too many buttons now. Not too many buttons, keybinds, but a lot of like, here's a 20 second, 30 second, 30 second, 45 second button to press, and you kind of just piano them kind of roughly at the right time. You don't really hold them very much because you want to get them fired off. but then your core, a couple of buttons. They've wanted to refine that substantially. So, looking at Beast Mastery, actually I'll go down to marksmanship because that's like the thing here we're talking about, right? So, they said they were pleased with the effect, but they worked in concert kind of wrong. Precise shots, aim shots had a hard time finding it with everything else. So the redesigned Eagle Tackle and True Focus is basically you fire one arcane shot and it uses both of your stacks to fire an extra one spare. Like it's weaker, but it is just your like you do aim shot, arcane, aim shot, arcane, aim shot, arcane until you're out of aim shots or out of focus, and then you'll rapid fire to build it back up. And it is very, very, very nice. It is substantially better during True Shot, but also focus generation being different. And the focus cost and some things have been lower and being different across your abilities, and having things that because obviously you already had Death Chakram, but Death Chakram being a button you press, it doesn't cost focus, gives you time to build back focus. I almost never needed to use Steady Shot. I just had focus when I needed it most of the time, because like Black Arrow doesn't cost very much, Explosive Shot doesn't cost very much, so I was using those perfectly fine. There's like you don't even you can even go without the talent that gives Steady Shot focus generation. So you can just be like, don't need Steady Shot.
Just pure filler.
Yeah, it's complete filler. Now, I don't know if you will still probably need to use the, what's it called, the steady focus, whatever it is, the 2 steady shots in a row give you haste. You might still want to use that as like a maintenance buff. I tried without it to see if I could like not use steady shot, and that was fun. I wasn't super capping on aim shots, even with the odd reset from Black Arrow. I was just like, okay, well, I can use aim shot when it's up. I can press arcane shot and use my things. Generally fine. Rapid fire, I didn't need to use all the time, but it was always there when I needed it. I was never sat there going, where's my resources? Or I have too many resources. It just felt like it flowed quite nicely. Might be different if I was doing AoE, because multi-shot cost and stuff like that may be a bit different. But then you'd have like Barrage, which does rapid fires now if you talent into that, which would be nice.
That at least, that visually must look quite neat. Because can those then trick shot and then move to other?
I don't know if they can trick shot actually.
Okay. Because I'm just imagining like 5 streams of arrows, then all trick shotting around.
I never tried to trick shot the Barrage rapid fire.
Explode the servers instantly.
Yeah, so that as well as like now I know people have issues with the wheeling arrow is now passive. It now every 20 when arrows fires turns your aim shot into a wheeling arrow. There's a couple things with that where it doesn't inherit all the bonuses. So like say your muscle memory is turned over. Your muscle memory is aim shot arcane. You'll just be like aim shot, but it's actually a wheeling arrow, and then you'll throw an arcane that's not buffed. Oh fuck shit. Which is kind of the thing. Maybe it should probably do that as well. And also having the interrupt portion of it being like, well, you can't save that anymore. You can't hold the interrupt portion of it if you needed it. It's just, you just launch it and it's just full send mode. But that generally, it just felt way nicer to me. Now, I didn't play around too much with AoE stuff because I didn't do dungeon. How's it going to be?
In fairness to them, AoE was, that would have been one of the gameplay high points. I think where people would have said that the trick shots mechanic genuinely felt really good to use. Because even being somebody who was quite grumpy about the BFA changes, I did always think the trick shot AoE, the gameplay was pretty good.
Yeah,
but I was still pretty grumpy.
Killzone's cool as hell.
Sounds like I have less reason to be grumpy.
Yeah, Killzone is an upgrade to your volley.
What if you turn me back into a hunter main?
I was worried for a second. I was like, man, I could play hunter
again.
Yeah, please don't.
Although it would explain a lot of things if I was just honest with people and played a hunter, because that's what I am.
Yeah, you're a hunter. Yeah, hunter.
You know, people are like, why is this paladin playing WoW with the brain of a hunter?
Yeah, why are you wearing the wrong skin? Effectively. Yeah, so like I think that marksmanship is in a much better place, and it's mostly down to minor improvements, which is like refinement is what makes a game. Like as long as you're working with decent enough clay to begin with, refinement can make it fantastic, and it definitely has like. I'm not going to play hunter, but hunter is now no longer a class that I never want to look at, and it has been since BFA.
Same
In every way. Now, Beast Mastery is interesting because it's mostly fantasy changes and kind of pushing different directions for gameplay bonuses. Where
Kind of. You see, I'm out of
feels
the
largely
loop.
the same, but
I'm out of the loop in Beast Mastery. From like most of what I remember with BM, it was very basic core rotation. The only asterisk to gameplay was basically don't spam Cobra Shot and waste all your focus, and that was basically it.
it's sort of the same in that you can just spam Cobra Shot and be a dumbass. But it's kind of keep your frenzy up, obviously. 3 stacks, which is easy now. Because with one talent, which increases the duration of Barbershop by 2 seconds, the duration matches cooldown. So as long as you don't do anything stupid, you can just keep it up the whole time. Then you still got the talent, which you can play without if you want, the auto shot crit reset percentage on Barbershop. That's still there. There's also a bunch of other resets for it across the talent tree and across your hero talents, like Black Arrow doing that randomly and Pack Leader doing that randomly. So you don't have to worry about your frenzy stacks ever dropping unless you make a big mistake, which I think is like it's engaging enough as you will throw your barb shots out to build it up and then you'll maintain it. Beast Cleave is just, you multi-shot or barrage. Now you can barrage to keep your Beast Cleave up and then just cleave, continue yourself as usual. You've got all the options for your Cobra Shot to reset kill command. You can kind of take the full reset during Bestial Wrath. You can take the additional cooldown reduction from somewhere else, which probably isn't really a good idea. I'm not super sure about how the balance of it and the numbers work out. But what is different about it is Dire Beast having this, every third Dire Beast calls one of the Valar Wolves, or one of the
Haiti and Fenrir.
Valhalla, the Halls of Valor place. So there's Haiti, who is the one that chased the moon in Norse's Lord to try to eat it and succeeded during Ragnarok. And Fenrir, who was Hattie's father. Skull was the one who chased his son, but it's not in game. Hattie gives your pets 15% damage for the 8 to 13 seconds, depending on talents, that it's up. So if you know that you have your third Horn of Valor or your third Dire Beast coming up, you might want to hold it for your Bloodshed or hold it for your Bestial Wrath or something like that. I didn't really do that very much because I don't have weak auras to track them on beta. I was just, full send all day long, whatever, and hoping for the best, and it seemed to work out okay. But there is a lot of that kind of possibility for actually min-maxing your stuff and damage windows there if you want to go into the Basilisk color and the Bloodshed and the Dire Beast build, if you want to go that way. Or you can go for something that's a little bit more simple, Call of the Wild, and just do that core, reset your kill command, reset your barb shot, keep that flowing. That, on top of having either Pack Leader's list of passives or Black Arrow and then Explosive Shot and Death Chakram, just means you've got your core rotation, but you've got enough buttons to just kind of come up and go, fire me, I'm cool now. Which is very... I was looking at it design-wise thinking, this doesn't really seem like it's all that good. It doesn't look like there's much going on. There's not a whole pile. It looks very, it doesn't feel like it comes together that much. And then I played it and I was like, no, this is good. This is chill. This is chill. Not this is making my brain go on fire and have a good time, but me just be like, yeah, this is nice. I'm doing base cleave, doing my kill command, and sometimes I'm just like, fucking random bullshit, go.
And we do need some of that in the game. Suits different player profiles, and sometimes I think you just want to chill with your class and enjoy the fight, enjoy the content.
BM is a very
something about the
content enjoyer,
yeah. That's sorry. I was having BM thoughts, but I've realized those are a decade ago because it's BlackRock Foundry. So
even the same with
I am out of date.
Like a Murder of Crows now being passive every couple kill commands.
You see, that's nice.
But it doesn't.
I never
reset.
enjoyed pressing Murder of Crows.
Murder of Crows was just a bullshit go,
yeah,
and then it reset every time you thing. So you use like a mild optimization to use it towards the end of a mob. Which is like, yeah, that's fine.
It was just a GCD I sometimes did.
So it's just a wee bit more of like they say here, the wild color part of the fantasy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more. Yeah, you can just fucking summon some boys in. The only problem that's annoying me is Stampede been gone. Because it's not in the class tree and it's not in the spec tree. And you're like, Stampede is cool. That was the Rexar ability. And it's gone. That sucks. But yeah, like there's a bunch of other stuff with the class tree that I didn't mention, like the Serpent Sting been gone, but it's now part of your spec tree in different individual ways. A bunch of improved defensive and things like that are quite nice. It's a very, very good class tree. It's a very fun one to navigate and pick stuff out of. It's
very
very
much not what it was before.
It's very flat and wide, so you just kind of go, oh, a little bit of that, 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 and you'll have some of that. Which you'll notice a lot of class trees are that way now. Maybe inspired by the shaman tree that was maybe the first one to do that, but the shaman tree hopefully will get an update soon because it's not perfect. It's a wee bit weird, but BM's good, marksmanship's good, and survival is certainly interesting. I really like it. I think it's great. I think losing the wildfire bomb effects like shrapnel bomb and stuff is very disappointing because they were really cool. It's super unique.
And so okay, so that's gone. What have we got in return, and what's the implication on the second gameplay?
So there's Tip of the Spear, which is every kill command adds 15% to...
Yes, which has been redesigned from its prior form.
Yeah, your kill command, it's 15% extra damage on your next other ability. Stacks 3 times. So you go kill command, you're building up focus at the same time, and then whatever button you decide to press will do whatever extra 45% extra damage. Way more during coordinated assault, and things like flanking strike get a bonus.
45 is a pretty big number.
Yeah, that's especially...
Like, you'll notice that. If that's a crit, I guess, sometimes in WoW you end up, there's just so much shit going on, you don't notice anything. So it's important if you actually play by the rules, and then maybe you do get your crit, and you get a big, massive, happy yellow text.
Yes, Wildfire Bomb is not gone. Wildfire Bomb is a poor part of the rotation. It's just the additional effects like the Shrapnel Bomb and the Poison Bomb. That's gone. It's It's now just here's a bomb that doesn't bleed.
Just a bomb.
Here's a bomb that doesn't bleed. Or there's like a dot effect, which like the first tier, the tier 4 set bonus from the first tier of this expansion is 10% extra Raptor Strike damage while Wildfire Bomb's on. So that's for your Mongoose Bite, big Mongoose Bite, Wildfire Bomb, Mongoose, Wildfire Bomb, Mongoose, stuff like that. But the kill command Tip the Spear thing, it like has even extra bonuses with flanking strike. So there's a lot of very small things you can do to kind of optimize your damage in like kind of fun thematic enough ways. Like I really like you tell your pet to attack, tell your pet to attack, tell your pet to attack. Now you flank together. It's like it's just a cool thing. Like me and my little dude, whatever my little dude is, kicking some ass. It's very nice. But like Fury of the Eagle, for example, building up 3 kill commands into Fury of the Eagle feels nice. It doesn't feel great because you're probably super overcapped and focused then. That's one of the things that's annoying about survival at the minute is you play around this certain, like maybe you need more abilities to spend focus because it's just, you're going to get trapped into I'm just going to Mongoose Bite all day long because I have infinite focus problem, especially with procs and things like that. But Tip of the Spear is a very, very strong. I haven't played with Spearhead at all, which is just you and your pet go do some shit. But like it's a pretty compelling talent tree. The rangery idea, which is that they have more, they use more explosive shot. They use Wildfire Bomb. They kind of the Grenadier fantasy a little bit more with the Serpent Sting as well, because they like Serpent Sting basically the most often because it's applied with Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite. So you've got your, like, what do you call it? They should make their more abilities cost focus so mastery actually buff them. Incorrect. They've changed their mastery. It is now versatility. Their mastery is now versatility.
Yep, so it's basically increased damage done, reduced damage taken.
Yeah, with a double effect when you're within 25 yards of your pet, which you are.
Yeah. And they have a pity timer in that, which basically means it's always going to be active.
Yeah.
So I think it's like if your pet just goes to Narnia, you'll still have it for like 6 or 8 seconds.
Yeah. And it's not purely versatility because versatility has that like 1 to 0.5 or 2 to 1 ratio. This is a way different ratio. It's closer to like a third maybe. But it does make you feel tankier survivability. I will say it does give you the
good. I'm
a range standing in danger zone problem. Because that was always the thing. Is like, I'm a melee. Do I have any defensive buffs to make me good at melee? No. No, you just die. Okay. Which is actually fine now that you've got, you've got your 2 survival of the fittests. You've got, well, you have to feign to use it, but camouflage is a damage reduction, which is a bit more of a PvP thing, I think, for like being hit, when you're in camo.
A PvP?
PvP thing.
I thought you said PPP, and I'm like,
what the PvP, yes.
What the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, survival can survive. Yeah, that's the thing. Survival can now survive better.
Shocking scenes. Shocking. It's finally happened.
So I think it's getting close to one of my favorite specs in the game. in a bunch of ways.
Whoa!
Because it has like fantasy stuff going for it.
I'm getting whiplash here. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's got fantasy stuff going for it. It's like now the carve's gone. It's just butchery is just a thing now. But then butchery makes your next raptor or mongoose cleave. So you can like build up a mongoose bite, and like some of this fights with each other because you've got wildfire bomb to mix in, you've got your explosive shot to mix in. At the end of coordinated assault, your fucking explosive shot has no cooldown and no focus cost for a bit. So you're just like bam, 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 bam. Especially when it explodes after if you hit a target with explosive shot, it insta bursts. So you just explode shit everywhere. You throw a load of fucking grenades all over the place. It feels really like kind of nuts, especially with like. Was it when your kill command resets, you fire off an arcane shot?
Yeah.
Which is just a cool, little.
So yeah, when it resets, not only do you have like a nice little flash in your screen of your thing is reset, but then you shoot a thing.
You also pow.
Yeah. Those like auto things, like whenever you're playing a rogue and it's just like the animation of the the quick shot that then goes back into the melee.
Yeah.
That always felt really satisfying. I guess another thing, yeah. So Serpent Sting is passive now, right?
Yeah. It's
so
applied.
how's Serpent Sting in? Because I know Serpent is applied by aim shot.
It's applied by aim shot for marksmanship. If you've talented it, you could just not. It's applied by aim shot. It spreads if with another talent from an aim shot. For Beastmaster, it's applied with kill shot, or every 5 cobras or multis applied as well. So you can kind of do that. But then obviously it's got the...
And your kill shot can reset.
Kill shot's got the resets, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, for survival, it is applied and spread by... In the same way it is for marksmanship, which is aim shot, apply, aim shot on a poison target, spreads. It's that with just your Raptor Strike or Mongoose Bit. So it's just, you just basically, if you choose to have it, you always have it. And then there's a bit where for every dot effect you have on them, it's called Outland Venom. For every dot effect, you do extra crit damage. That's another thing that's kind of, I don't talk about much because it's more of a gearing thing and more of a number country thing. But crit stonks are way up for hunters. Hunters have a load of bonus effects that just work.
In their post, they talked about the scaling of secondary stats for hunters.
Yeah, that's one thing they've been trying very, very hard with. Is it here somewhere? Yeah, improves secondary stat scaling across all hunter specializations. There's a lot of crit does bonus stuff now. Or not does bonus stuff, but like you get like 4% more crit from all sources in the class tree, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Things like that. Carve isn't the choice. No to the butchery now, it's baseline. Yes, that's very nice. So you can kind of take butchery and buff it up a little bit, or you can just be like, nah, I'm okay. I'm cool. The fun thing is like butchery giving your, because I was talking about earlier, butchery giving your mongoose bites and your raptor strikes cleave.
Yeah.
So you can, like, say you're building your mongoose bite to 5 stacks. You can build it up, and then now you'll need a kill command to regain focus during this. But you can then go, I've got my mongoose on this target. Okay, butchery, big mongoose cleave. Butchery, big mongoose cleave. Kill command focus, butchery, big mongoose cleave. It's full of things like that, especially when you've got that kill command weaving in the middle, which is applying tip of the spear, which is giving you bigger butcheries or bigger mongooses, depending on how you like intersperse kill command.
It seems quite tightly designed, and I suppose with that new tip of the spear, I can see why they've decided to remove the wildfire bomb stuff.
Yeah. It's like this and the wildfire bomb would make this the most convoluted shit in existence.
It would be total bollocks.
Yeah, so it is just a decision to change that out.
So I suppose a larger theme that people may have noticed through today's show, and it is rather shocking. This has been like the Happy Matt. This has been the Happy Matt day.
Their ability to refine has shown up in beta. Big time.
That's really heartening. Like to hear the delves, because we do have this default thing of like, I'm sure delves will have a few interesting ideas and, they'll try pretty decently, but it's World of Warcraft, so somehow through the cosmic process of it being an MMO, it's somehow going to be shit and people will be angry about it. But that's not happening. It's not happening. You're playing it and it's fun. And like hunters, again, this seems like a really damn good refinement. Hunters,
druids, and paladins are the most important specs for them to get right because they're the classes that are played the most, and they're the ones that people resonate with the most. largely speaking. Now, obviously, there's some self-reinforcement there. Where like Druids had flight form, so everyone plays it.
Just for people to
Paladins are
understand there,
strong.
Hunter 10.5%. If I was to do level 70 only. Okay, Paladin 10.8%, Druid 10.8%, Hunter 10.4. The next is Warrior at 8.9. Then it's DH at 7.9. So you can see the percentages of players playing a class. They really fall down rapidly after you go past Paladin, Hunter, Druid.
What's Monk?
Oh dear, Matt. Well, actually, it's not bottom. Monk. This is per data for Azeroth. Monk is 5.8%. Rogue is 5.3%.
Oh my god, how the tables have turned.
And Evoker.
Jeez, oh, of course, Evoker's the
Evoker
lowest.
is 4.4%.
Of course, Evoker will be the lowest, even after the Og buff.
Yeah.
That's mad. But yeah, so that's the thing I've always thought about for a long time is those are the 3 classes everyone's always played in World of Warcraft. Those are like, there's 13 classes, those 3 are 30% of the player base. Or close to like 32% of the player base. So Hunters being so scuffed for so long has been disappointing. But now that they're here, I'm like, I expect people will enjoy these way, way more.
And I think that's why Blizzard have historically been, one could say, a bit slow and not particularly confident.
They've been worried, like.
Yeah.
They've been worried about changing, man.
Changing up Hunter is big.
Especially because all the changes they do to Marksman, clearly, like every time people are like, what are you doing to my goddamn class? Leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
Because like marksmanship, it always to me, it felt like, you know, a Photoshop file. And you just keep on tweaking and you keep on and it's just overworked and it doesn't really fit together. Whereas here it feels like they've kind of stripped a few things back, thought about some of the fundamentals. Yeah,
very much.
I'm impressed. There is a bit of me that would have wanted total gutting and proper redo the modern Hunter, but it does seem that actually the details have really made quite the difference. And that is always how it is, actually. Yeah. Details matter.
Yeah, the fun thing
Details
is...
and polish. Details and polish. And I guess when, people... Silk Song.
Yeah.
A game that's probably going to spend 2 decades in the polish stage. Like, it's way easier to have a... you can have a game, and a lot of... you see loads of modern publishing deals that are like 18 months or 2 years in the indie, in the indie scene. And... if you're a really amazing team, sure, great, awesome. But for a lot of teams who aren't that or just newer, it's that 6 months of polishing that makes a game truly great. That's what doesn't happen. And I guess that's always the problem with an MMO, because you got to ship. They've been doing a way better job at actually putting in some polishing reps.
They're like actually good at it now. I always like this comparison, right? Because you've almost definitely heard, the devil's in the detail, right? And that's always the devil's in the detail, meaning that it's always the small details in a plan or an implementation or a policy or something that's complicated and difficult to work out, and is where you're going to find the problems. You're going to go, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Oh, we forgot that, fuel is limited or money is limited, or maybe the implementation of government contracts is challenging. Anything like that. I was watching Yes Minister today, sorry. But I much prefer the other version. And I'm trying to find who it's attributed to. Apparently, there's the American architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. Apologies for butchering that name. Not a good European for being an Irishman. And he said at some point, apparently, God is in the details. Which I much prefer to the devil in the details, because God in the details applies it to the high quality and
excavate them out.
Yeah, and the divinity in work is when you pay attention to the tiniest of details. Not forgetting the big picture, obviously, because you can have the most immaculate thing and it's a terrible idea, of course. But especially in video games and in things like in writing and fucking everything. The more attention you pay to the individual second or detail, the more you're going to have good things. And that's what's what's this? That's fine, ship it. Versus 18 focus cost or 20 focus cost.
Yeah.
And there's a you bump up against the 80-20 principle at a point, obviously. But because there's obviously the entire world is conflicting principles. You have to find the balance. But to me, it very feels like they've been getting very good at going, this is an art form, and we're going to put our utmost into defining and refining the details over and over again until we get something we're proud of and works really well. And that's what I've really liked about the War Within's class changes. Maybe you'll see how I feel about Feral Druid, because
Yes.
a lot of them have been, we'll make the resources not suck. We'll make it not feel terrible to play the game. And then
Good
Feral,
starting point.
yeah, and then Feral, they're like, we've removed your resources. Please enjoy. And like,
Yeah.
can I have Tiger's Fury, please? And it's just like me sat there like Oliver fucking Twist, been like, just a second Tiger's Fury in this mob pool, please, sir. Like, nope, you've got 5 energy. Ration it well.
And I suppose, let's talk about a monkey's paw curling.
Oh yeah, the fact that
Kiss curse.
Oh,
That's what I was going to go
right.
to.
Okay.
I was-
okay. Cool.
I was going to go to the monkey's paw being kiss curse affixes, because for the longest time people said,
Monkey's
hey,
paw, baby.
this is what we need, kiss curse, right? Yeah, you know, we deal with some harder things, but we do more damage or whatever. Well, they are doing kiss curse affixes, but the basic thing is
Yay.
it will be awkward for DPS, but DPS pretty much just benefit, while it ends up just being harder for tanks and healers. That's the TLDR.
Yeah.
With a minor, like, also, who knows, with balance, it may not matter. But that being said, the ones that increase, like, magic damage or the haste of casters, that in a fortified week on a higher key, with, you know, how that scales, that certainly seems like that could be quite a problem. So, to quickly explain to everybody, what they've done is they've changed the affix thresholds. They were 2, 4, and 7. Now they are... Wait, no, sorry. They are now 2, 4, and 7. They were 2, 5, and 10, right? So those have changed. Affix is kicking in a little bit earlier. I have to imagine Blizzard feel a bit more headroom here, though, because obviously the difficulty changes. So a Mythic 0 is the equivalent of a Mythic plus 10 with no affixes and no timer. So this is all for basically M plus 10 gameplay. So still like a large improvement over where we were in the past. So they've done that, and yeah, they've basically gutted the middle tier of affixes. That means we've lost a few, and we're gaining some new ones. And the philosophy, though, I do like the philosophy where they've said, we want more focus in the dungeon, we want less nameplate clutter, we want less, like incorporeals and things in a dungeon. So I think that's something players are quite broadly for, and it's why I said Monkey Paw, because it's Kiss Curse, and they're making a blog post about a lot of things that I think a lot of people would, really like in principle. But of course, the Monkey's Paw curls when we actually get to the new affixes that have replaced the older ones, which are Reckless, Thorned, Attuned, and Focused. And basically, they're all based on whether an enemy has a mana bar or not, because that's essentially their only way to sort of say, is it a caster or not? So you've got Reckless and Thorned, which are both for non-boss melee combatants. For Reckless, ignores 20% armor with their attacks, so they do more damage, but their armor is reduced by 30%, and they take 10% increased arcane damage. So I suppose that's great if you're an arcane mage or you're doing a bunch of melee damage to them. But of course, for the tank, it does mean, tank and healer maybe will have to, try a little bit harder. There's then Thorned, which is essentially a bit of a spell reflect. Non-boss enemies without mana, so melee, inflict physical damage to their attackers when attacked, but take 10% increased holy and shadow damage. So here, it's basically just the healer will have to constantly top people up as they attack casters. Sorry, melee. Our final two then are Attuned and Focused. So in both cases, in the first one, Attuned, the curse is 20% increased magic damage from casters. For Focused, the curse is that those casters have also got 30% haste. So, and then the kisses. For Attuned, it is 10% extra nature damage, 30% increased bleed damage, and for Focused, it is 10% increased frost and fire damage. Probably nice if you're a frost fire mage. So
20% bonus damage, yay!
That's kind of what's going on there. Now, what is awkward is the overlap of what DPS specs will actually benefit on a week-to-week basis, because it turns out if you're Destro, you're happy because of how
It's like, let's see. Chaos Bolt does extra damage. Chaos Bolt does extra damage. Chaos Bolt does extra damage. And OBS crashed.
Does that free up space to continue?
Cool. Okay, it didn't crash. We just ran out of disk space, so guess we'll not have the recording for clips. Whoops.
It's fine. It's fine. Things happen. Whatever.
That's fine.
So you can sort of see an interesting little situation there, where if you're maybe a DH or you are Destro Warlock.
DH should be the big one, right?
Yeah. They're just going to be the happy golden boys all the time. And I know that you put together. Is it in the document? You put together a spreadsheet that was great. It is not here.
I'll get it.
Okay, so I'll cover the dead air while Matt gets a spreadsheet out. So some specs will just benefit, randomly 1 week, but there are specs that will benefit every single week because of how this stuff works. There is a bit of a concern amongst people of god comps, like basically that Destro Warlocks, assuming they are not punished, because then this brings up a really large balancing problem. So with Destro Warlock, if they are getting maybe an overlapping, two overlapping damage bonuses on many days on many weeks, how do you balance them? Because if they are perfectly balanced with everybody else in a target dummy, they'll be doing extremely well in Mythic Plus. If you tune them down so that they, in light of how many buffs they're getting from the affixes, do less well in Mythic Plus, then maybe they'll underperform in Raid. So it actually does, it does kind of cast up a pretty large problem for Blizz. The other thing then is there is no KISS for healers. There's no KISS for tanks. And that's kind of because tanking and healing is the gameplay of the dungeon, whereas, DPS is a bit of utility and you going through the dungeon. So the problem is, I have to imagine they think that any of the kisses that are there for a healer or a tank basically means they don't get their gameplay anymore, instead of a happy bonus, as they would probably see it.
No, it's just because the tanks and healers are too busy kissing each other because they're the only ones of any value, and the DPS are alone.
There we go.
And shit and suffering. Yes, so I see someone in the chat saying, don't they benefit from everything? And this is what I'm about to show you once I remember how this works. There we go. Hello. So how this works is if you benefit from one of them, you get a 1.
So
benefit
I think
from
they
2 of them, you
can
get a
see
2.
here.
Yeah, they can't see it's
actually, if you maybe is that full screen? Because you could probably just drag it up.
I'll do this.
Oh my god, look at that. We've moved.
There you go. Yeah.
Incredible.
So this is very loose, right? There's some cases where, like, as an example, Warrior here benefits from nature, because especially for fear and protection, because they can talent into Mountain Thin, which gives a shit ton of nature damage from Thunderclap, a lot of Thunderclap. So it's not a huge amount of stuff, but yes. So if you have a 1, you benefit from one of them, so you get a rough 10% on some of your abilities. If you have a 2, you benefit from both. If red, none. And then this is weeks, so 3 weeks out of 4, Blood Decay does extra damage. But 0 weeks out of 4, they get double buffs. So you'll see the green. You'll see the very green nice stuff. So Frost has a tiny bit of shadow damage from Reaper Mark. I didn't include that because it's very small. I think it could be bigger, maybe bigger, but so don't take this as gospel, because it sort of depends on what percentage of damage you do. Like as an example, like Rogue here, Assassination Rogue gets nature and bleed because poisons, obviously, big heavy poison damage, and subtlety gets a decent amount of nature damage as well, especially when they turn nature damage into shadow damage, stuff like that. But you'll see some people get off very well. Warrior's not bad. If Ogres have a real good time here on what do you call it, on Focus Week, because they do a lot of that place. Preservation gets Frost and Fire because they use Spell Frost. So Devastation, for example, gets Arcane and Frost for free, and Fire, so it kind of gets a little bit of both that. Yeah, that should actually be 2. Whoops. So yeah, this is how rough it is. But Hunter gets away with it pretty well because physical and arcane, because they fire off a lot of arcane damage with arcane shot fairly regularly, with marksmanship and survival doing that now as well. Survival is a lot of blades, Beastmaster's blades, and nature as well, from Serpent Sting being pretty heavy there. We changed one of the values. Yeah, I changed Devastation to 2 because I forgot. I just was. Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh my goodness! Computer, please behave. Thank you. But the thing I want to highlight is Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
It's
Would you just like
buffed every week.
what? 20% more damage, 10% more damage,
Yeah.
30% more damage over here. Just you want a bunch of buffs?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because
And
so much of their
imagine
damage
the
is
impact
chaos.
of that many buffs.
Yeah. Now there's a really funny part of this as well, which is it's not just that they're doing chaos damage. They bring Chaos Brand, which increases magic damage up by 5%. So you bring a Demon Hunter as your melee,
Yeah.
and if you have a caster, they will do substantially more damage as well, which is very silly. And you've got some poor fuckers like Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage is like, well, guess I have one good week in me, and it's not even a great week.
Yeah.
Whoops. Fire and Frost get 2 because they can just go Frostfire and double dip like hell. That's where they will is a different question. Because like one of the things like Sun Fury, right? Frostfire lets them double dip in Frost and Fire. Sun Fury doesn't let Arcane dip into Fire because the Phoenix will cast Arcane spells mostly. And the Fire doesn't let them dip into Arcane because it casts Fire stuff mostly. And then Destruction Warlock gets just... They do so much of everything. Like they do... Chaos Bolt does a lot of their work, but they also shatter damage and shatter damage from them. And then you look at Priest and you're like, you get 1 week as well because you just do shatter damage. Like, nice. Well done. And none of this is going to be super important, but it does mean like you're trying to combat the God comp by rotating. You've just made a new one.
Just got God comp every week.
You've just made sure everyone plays Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Because it's all about the perception and all about who gets a slight bonus.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know...
It's a trickle-down effect. Because like you do look at a lot of this and think, will this realistically mean you can't do what you want to do in the game? No. Will it mean that players will be funky, shall we say, in pugs? Yeah, it will. We actually saw, because there's the weekly Mythic Plus data, whenever the God Comp came in Season 2, boom, numbers actually cratered. They cratered more than I expected.
Yeah, because
I was really surprised.
Because there's people sat there waiting for an Augvoker instead of just going with whatever they find.
Yeah, pretty good way to
Like
decrease the number of runs you do.
Yeah, but it's okay because Augmentation only does nature damage, so it's actually fine. And it's not that... realistically, this should be... Because Augmentation can buff whatever damage it wants, this really should just be that, to be honest with you. Like, realistically, but that wouldn't be...
So it's kind of hard to know here what they should do. Because, I mean, looking at this... And it's weird, because like in your head you could think maybe an affix gives some enemies a new ability, but maybe while they're, wheeling up to cast that ability, they take increased damage. And you put a bit of a game in it. Like, a mage character is going to go and do big explosion. Big explosion! They're going to cast Big Boom, Matt. And maybe while they're casting Big Boom, they take way more damage, but you don't want to let the cast off. Like, maybe that's a bit of a kiss curse that still is in the dungeon. I don't really know, but like, I think just giving damage buffs based on magic, or based on damage type, I don't really think that's the way to do it.
It's theoretically cool theming, but it's actually just arbitrary nonsense.
Does feel like arbitrary nonsense.
It's arbitrary nonsense. It's this week you're stronger. Why? Because fucking rotational balance, I guess. So I don't really know what. Like, I don't know how they would accomplish rotating balance outside of make your fucking game balanced, idiots. Like, obviously I say that really like tongue in cheek because it's a hard thing to do.
Just normalize everyone's damage. Done. I'm not serious.
Honestly, there's a point where, and this is where I went on a whole fucking thing. Whole thing I went on.
Were you into the big think dimension?
Yeah.
Very mate.
In our Discord for like channel stuff, I was just like, remove talents.
Oh yes, you did.
Talents.
Yeah, you got doom pills and talents.
Which is funny because that was literally off the back of me being super happy about the 100 talents. I'm like, oh, these are really great. And I'm just like, I don't want to make any of this choice. This is fucking false choice. This is false agency you're giving me. You're not giving me real decisions. You're giving me a complicated math problem, and it's so complicated I'm going to look up the fucking answer. At least for, how a bunch of people are going to play the game. I'm like, I know what you're doing here, and fuck off with that.
Yeah, so it's like, what is actually... Yeah,
Just making the
where
game
is the
hard.
design space of a talent sort of working out? I guess when I think about that, it's end caps that are exciting. It's...
They've even moved away from
optional,
end caps being exciting because getting to the end of
yeah.
of a capstone was a problem. So they've changed that to majorly because remember it used to be like you get to the bottom, there's the ability. They've changed that so the ability is the ability. The ability is a gate or two higher, and then or a row or two higher, a gate higher, and then you improve them. But then that just doubles down on we were talking about this before. It just doubles down on the doubling down aspect of. Well, I don't want Call of the Wild unless I have the talent point below it.
I suppose what it reminds me of, if you had a combination of mop talents, but then maybe perks within the talents that augmented the talent, a bit like how in Diablo, so in Diablo with an ability talent, you choose the ability and then it goes to usually to a sort of a choice node, and you can take it in a different direction based on what way you want to sort of tinge or flavor that ability. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I think that the player expression within talents can be a really good thing, and I think in terms of utility, mobility, a bunch of the class fantasy stuff, I think talents are really good and positive. I think they're great for leveling.
They're also great for utility. The utility part is where I really quite like them.
I suppose the bit that what you're struggling with here is just balance in an MMO is hard, and then when we're throwing a bunch of damage multipliers on top of our dungeons, that seems weird. That being said, I do not believe these are going to make it onto live at all.
I can't imagine.
I just cannot imagine.
I can't imagine. I could see the curses surviving.
Oh yeah.
But I can't imagine the kisses surviving.
The curses are not the problem, actually.
No.
Because the curses are just,
Well, they also are because
they are.
Because it's just 1 week you bring a Vengeance Demon Hunter or don't play the fucking game, idiot.
Okay.
Which is the hasted one.
With the haste one, yes. What those curses are different flavors of an incoming damage profile, which could get uber horrible if it's casters and it's fortified, but whatever. But the thing that would be, I suppose, damaging to the social experience and the balance is the kiss. So how do you do the kiss in a way that is fair and that doesn't feel like it's only benefiting DPS while making healers' lives harder and tanks' lives harder because all they're getting is the curse?
You need to give it something that's utility focused. You need it to be say the haste one. It's like when you kill, you get 100% move speed till you pull the next pack.
Okay, something like that. Maybe those enemies drop a ball, some ability ball, an extra action button ball, and you can use that in the next pack. Maybe do some level of interactivity in that sense within a dungeon, rather than just Demon Hunters and Destro Locks forever!
Yeah,
which doesn't seem like it's it.
So literally prideful, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The seasonal affixes were good at that.
Yeah.
But then they were complicated. And then they rotate dungeons instead of rotating seasonal affixes now.
But I mean, I'd almost say,
complicated.
Reduce the number of affixes overall, and maybe have some seasonal ones that are not as overarching, but theme them around the season. There's a way to do that isn't as heavy-handed as a meta-defining traditional seasonal affix. But that probably isn't just, to borrow an older term from our stream, a dick in your salad. Like storming. Storming was a great example of a dick in your salad, where it's like, what's this achieving? I'm just a bit miffed. That was the thing with storming, because it's not like storming was hard. And it probably didn't wipe your group. It was just mildly frustrating. And of course the good news is storming is gone. Now bolstering and... Oh, no, it's not called bulging. What's it called?
Bulging. Bulging is your new affix.
Bursting. Bolstering and bursting.
And sanguine.
Oh,
why?
Not sanguine. Not like
why
this. Not like this.
Are you so stubborn? Why are you so stubborn, you video game designers? But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why sanguine's there. I get why it's there, but I don't get why it's there. I look at it and I go, You've created the Typhoon affix. You've created the Thunderstorm affix. The High Explosive Trap affix. Why does it hail enemies? Why isn't it a stacking damage buff? At the just do that. Sanguine is a stacking damage buff. There you go.
Yeah.
It's still a tank problem, but now it's not one that makes everyone in the group want to kill each other. Yeah, I actually, I don't know what to do with affixes. I really, okay, I'm very radicalized.
Oh!
I'm very radicalized.
Let's go.
And I would be one of the first people to go throw talents in the bin, design your classes like actual designers. It's obviously very rude and not true. Designing talents is obscenely complicated and difficult, and I can't believe they've done such a good job with it. But they remove talents, remove affixes, and just make your game fucking good. Just make your game simple and good.
I'm just imagining that. You know the way the title of the TV show, The Good Doctor. I'm imagining Matt Lakin starring Matt Lakin in The Good Schizo. It's you go to say the really horrible thing, these fucking designers can't do it. But in fairness, they have done a really good job, and it was a hard task. No, I get it. It's inherently it's something inherent. And we have seen so many teams of designers across so many action RPGs, shooter RPGs, RPGs, and so many things try to do talents or perks or whatever. And it does feel like nobody's really came to the there's lots of good, but I don't, there may be a gold standard. It's inherently hard. How do you do something that is about player expression, but then has got to make contact with cold hard numbers and game balance? That's, I guess, the struggle at the heart of all of this. And there's a bit in your head that I suppose is just rip the Band-Aid off, as it is called in other places, not here. Rip the Band-Aid off and do no talents like Final Fantasy XIV, which doesn't have talents.
And still has job problems up the fucking wazoo.
Still has job problems.
Hello, we are we're changing Black Mage. Black Mages did not like this.
Yep, I know that they changed something that I've forgotten and probably can't pronounce from the Samurai 2 years ago, and everyone. That's it. Is everyone still mad?
Everyone's still no. People are mad. They're disappointed now. They're like,
Has Dawn Trail fixed it, or are we? Is it so over?
Dawn Trail
more like Sleepwalk
job.
Sorry, that was mean.
Yeah, Dawn Trail's job philosophy so far is very explicitly, we have not rocked the boat because we're rocking all the other boats, and we'll see how those work.
They're rocking all the other boats?
Yeah,
okay.
Which is them.
I think that's a game that certainly could benefit from some boat rocking.
They're doing a large amount of changing how dungeon and raid bosses feel mechanically, playing with that more.
Oh.
And then they said around 7.2 they plan on changing job design to match that philosophy if necessary. See how it goes. Something along those lines anyway. But yes.
All right, that's kind of fascinating.
So removing talents wouldn't make job or class design suddenly easy, that's for sure. That's for sure. And it would remove a lot of what people like about it. So I wouldn't ever actually say give me no talents, but I want to peek into the alternate universe. Was that a translation error today? Damn. Whatever. Oh, God. Here I was hopeful, but it's fine.
Okay. Well, interesting. We've talked about the Mythic Plus situation. I do not believe that this will ship. I will say that I like the willingness to do a Kiss Curse, and I like a lot of the philosophy they talked about shifting the source of challenge to the dungeon. So that stuff, that does get my thumb up. I maybe think a different philosophical approach with the kisses. I think you talking about the speed boost for running, I mean, that's basic player traversal. People find that to be fun. If maybe, you're special, they could probably do a thing for each affix where they just manually go through the dungeon and flag like with those affixes, but it impacts this melee guy, this range guy, that melee guy. And maybe when you kill those enemies, it drops a spear or a shield or something you can throw at an enemy to stun a pack or do more damage.
See, those are all dungeon mechanics. Those are in like Necrotic Wake, the chains are in Althara, stuff like that. That's all in the dungeon. So there's no room for that in affixes on top, realistically. Because then you just have overlaps and double dipping and stuff.
Because the overlaps are the problem.
So they already all have that stuff. Which then makes you go,
but you could have
affixes, throw them away.
Yeah.
Throw them the fuck away, please.
Tricky. You could maybe... Okay, so what was in my head, though, right? Because we're going to theme this, maybe let's say it's a Void themed, whatever, a Void themed
wow, we won't get tired of this for the next 2 expansions.
So let's say it's a Void themed season.
Sorry, Midnight will actually be all light themed.
Oh yeah. So let's just say it's a Void themed season, or a Xalatath Void themed season. Because, if we were following prior rules, we would be doing, a Razageth themed season with Thundering. So in this case, a Ansurek themed season. But I don't really know if anybody just wants spider affixes.
Spider eggs. Every time you kill a mob, it'll spider jump out.
Oh no.
Not spider mobs, just spider jump out your screen. Which is horrifying, and then you turn on arachnophobic mode, you're like, this is crabs now.
Brilliant. So maybe, if it's a Void thing, there's a Void buff after killing that sort of buffed enemy. A Void item that is different, that drops off that sort of enemy.
Can I just play the dungeon?
At which point you then just think, remove the affix. Remove that layer of affixes, because guess what? The difficulty goes up X% from affix to affix anyway, and you've got Tyrannical and Fortified to give you 2 very distinctly different flavors. They also did say, by the way, that they could have a look at Tyrannical and Fortified.
Yeah, look at them.
They said it somewhere.
Look at them through a fucking sniper scope and pull the trigger, mate. Which I actually don't really agree with. I think Tyrannical and Fortified are fine.
Yeah, I think they're kind of fine.
I think they're fine. The only reason I think they're fine is because they work with the dungeon feels different every other week. Which to me feels like, why are you making it feel different?
Yeah.
Make it feel the same, because then it's fun, because it's the same dungeon. I like doing the dungeon that's like, I don't even like repeating content that much. But I'd rather repeat content that's the same content instead of content that's it's wibbly wobbly week and the dungeon's upside down. Like, I'd rather just do the dungeon again. Like,
wibbly wobbly week.
It's like, we have put fucking party hats on the enemies. Let's go. I'm like, no, can I just...
That can be our new mop remix. Yeah. No, it's a funky wee thing. We'll have to see what they do. Big picture, I think I like what they're thinking of. This one just didn't hit the mark.
Just fucking drop kick affixes the fuck. Just get rid of them to hell. Get rid of them. No one likes them.
So yeah.
The fucking game's complicated enough.
What I was thinking about there. So number one, yeah, if you could just remove Sanguine and Bolstering and Bursting and of course Bulging, our new affix, if you could just remove all of those, you would have more design space on the bosses. And, maybe you can have they've got the mythic abilities. Well, what if you have no affixes, but instead, at mythic +7,
they just killed you.
Their final, there are more abilities in the dungeons. Just one little level more. As you go from normal to heroic to mythic in a raiding context, you do have some more mechanics to deal with.
I've got it.
Oh dear.
Got it. Remember how everyone hated Razageth Sundering? Imagine that, but good.
Razageth and Sundering?
Thundering.
Thundering sucked.
Imagine Thundering, but good.
No, I can't.
Then you have a brain issue, I'm sorry to say.
Yes.
So what I'm actually thinking is you combine the idea of give bosses extra shit, but make it seasonal. So you go, like, and design it. So you're chilling. Don't know why you're in Seas of Borealis. Don't know how that makes any sense, right? Yeah, but that's not a one-size-fits-all solve. It requires them to put work into it. Please be quiet. I know. I know what I'm about to say is do more work. Do more design work, which is the problem. Stop being lazy and
I said the lazy devs. The lazy devs have not done it again.
Yeah,
Grr.
yeah. Listen, if you put, it's the equivalent of like someone. It's like it's trying to fix a car to drive down the road when you could walk it.
You still have a broken car though, and you should get it fixed.
That's true.
I'm sorry to ruin your analogy.
But yeah, like so.
I understand. I understand your thing. It's like yeah. No, I get it.
You're spending $1 billion to try and solve this systematically, when you could just solve it by being good, which is a very rude way to say it. But like I don't mean that. I mean things like you're in Siege of Brass and you're fighting. What's the name of the last fucking boss? The thing in the water pit, or whatever. And you just hear Xalatath or Zekfir do some cackling, and then just some like timed with the boss mechanics. So not just fuck you, I said so. Just some shit comes in. Just here's some void. Like here's a void portal that pulls you towards the danger zone, and that's the affix. It like teleports you into the danger zone and routes you there, and you have to get out. And it's like really narrow timing. Something a little bit like that, where it's just here's a flavorful version of we have made this boss harder after +4, +5.
Yeah.
We have not put a bajillion hours of work into it. It's something simple, but it is something that is like new and harder. And you see it and you go, oh, fuck, that's new. And your brain goes, wee, for
as
a
long
second.
as we don't have, remember Quaking? Yeah, it was Quaking on the Nerzul dungeon.
It was quaking on half the fucking game.
And also half the game, where Quaking basically meant that the bosses didn't work.
Yeah, it's like
the design was broken because of Quaking, so they had
Please.
to then hotfix in, like, basically edge case.
Yeah, please stack. Quaking says no. Like, that was a literal thing. So I imagine there's a world where they could, like, kind of make it simple like that. But the problem is they want, they want
an overall
weekly
systemic
variation as
weekly,
the weekly variation is
So,
the problem.
big picture, I think it is what it is. We will have to see. They will almost certainly respond to this feedback because it has been essentially unanimous. So with that, Matt,
Hang on, actually. Can I talk about tanks and healers for a second? Please.
Yeah, sure. Tanks and healers.
Blizzard.
The actual game.
Blizzard. Stop treating... No, I was going to say stop treating DPS like babies, but DPS are babies. Start treating tanks and healers like babies, I think.
Treat us like babies too.
Tanks and healers, yeah.
Oh, baby us all. Fantastic. Please, pamper me, Blizzard. What am I getting? Okay, so as a sometimes healer, what am I getting pampered with, Matt?
I don't know.
Damn.
No, the problem is healers want to be abused. Wait a bit.
Yeah, but we want to be abused,
but not
right?
Not that badly.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And tanks are the same.
Yeah, because you don't want a situation as a healer where, you're just sitting there doing a rubbish DPS rotation because there's no incoming. But you also don't want a situation where it goes from fine to very not good. Double plus not good, Matt. The worst in like 2 globals. Because then it just doesn't feel great. It feels better when the other people's health bars are something you're managing as a resource over time. And if you just sort of collapse that all into hyper-reactive gameplay, it's obviously bad. Blizzard knows it's bad because they've been struggling with this problem forever.
Oh no, I've got it.
Especially since Siege of Orgrimmar onwards.
I've got it. Remove tank and healer. Fixed.
Remove the Trinity. This is a discussion we had in the last stream.
Just 5 DPS. Done.
Yeah, and by the way, if you weren't there in the last stream, and Matt had pointed out that actually most modern MMOs do not have the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity is, I hate to say it, everyone, and to say it so soon after my 30th birthday, we play a boomer game, Matt. A boomer game.
No, we don't. Shut up.
Boomer.
Holly Longdale said on the Xbox podcast, this isn't your mom and dad's MMO.
Oh, in that case, Holly, we got to remove tanks and healers.
This isn't your mom and dad's radio.
Apparently, that is what the people who enjoy removing caps and bussing about the place.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah, it is a boomer game. Like, so
So-
I think they need to remove tanks and healers entirely.
What
Just
the
say,
hell would
and
that-
you are.
See, here's the thing, right?
To borrow other terminology, you're now blue and green DPS. Please enjoy.
It works in plenty of other games that have got boss fights as you do in a cooperative context. But as a Warcraft player, that doesn't make sense in my brain. Because who has the aggro mat?
Just
How does it work? But obviously it does work
literally
in other games.
remove targeted abilities and auto attacks. Game fixed.
Okay, so you mean it more as like, yeah, it's a co-op MMO Dark Souls boss now.
Yeah, that does create the GW2 issue. That does create it. Like, it is just
So,
you'd be
yeah.
trading in one set of problems for different set
And
of
so
problems for sure.
What is the GW2 issue as, because I mean, I know that game casually, but I don't exactly know it at the like highest level of play, which I think is actually a bit relevant because they're adding their first raid after 6 years. Not first raid, but the first raid that they have done in 6 years is coming in the next expansion.
Damn, we thought fucking Shadowlands was bad.
Oh, they are. I mean, my view of things, like, it's not like the Guild Wars 2 subreddit was all up in arms about the new expansion or anything. People seem broadly happy. It's got player housing and stuff like that. But from what I can see, and knowing that ArenaNet do have another large project, it very much to me looks like it is yearly expansions, you know, noticeable drips of content all the time, rather than the old Guild Wars 2 special, which was, here's Path of Fire. Could be 3 years till the next expansion. Could be 2. Could be 4. Who knows? Which was basically...
Roll the dice.
Yeah.
How
yeah.
long have we got to make this one? One. Damn it. Get to work quick.
It's like Path of Fire, lots of great stuff, but it was sent there for a long time, and yeah, anyway, won't get into it, but yeah, that'll matter more because they've got a raid coming in. Anyway, my thought is, yeah, they basically have noticeable, like, little heartbeats of content throughout the year as a part of their new yearly expansion model, but it does seem like it is them moving away from the sort of big, large expansions, which to me says that they are doing a lot of non-production intensive game development to keep the game going, which actually does get you loads of game because, you know, systems, classes, content, but it does seem like the lion's share of the resources from my reckoning are going somewhere else. But anyway, this is not about Guild Wars. Tanks and healers.
Yeah, just I don't really know what
What do we do with them?
I don't know what to do with it, with the issue. And I'm sure, realistically, I think the real solution is probably the really boring one, which is what we've talked about before, is to just iterate on gameplay. Try again.
So, do you know what I think
Because,
is a
like,
bit of the trouble, actually?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I think a bit of the trouble is balance. And we play a boomer game.
Fucking druids.
A boomer game that's a hard game. World of Warcraft where men are real men. And you know, it's a hard game. Whenever you die, you die. Whenever you lose your key, you deplete. Very hardcore. As opposed to a lot of modern games, which are basically, let's get blasting. So, I suppose the thing with tanking is in many ways, it's inherently defensive. So how do you make a tank have an offensive tone of gameplay without them doing a DPS worth of damage? And I guess that probably takes a tank into a CC utility and set up the DPS sort of play space so that, yep, your DPS are really burning targets down, but your tank can actually do quite a lot of work with their positional kit to set set DPS up from that. And then you probably... Healer, it's easier to solve tank in my head than healer, really, because what do you do when you don't need to heal? Is it prepare for more heals? In which case we get into Absorption Land, and Absorption Land can be a funny place. Siege of Orgrimmar.
You turn around and look at your other monitor.
Well,
That's what healers really want to
I
do.
do that already.
Yeah, that's what healers really want to do, I think, a lot of the time. But it's funny.
By which I mean, so in quite a lot of other games, you are just, go, fast, destroy everything. But WoW isn't like that, actually. WoW's
You played it?
hierarchies, whenever like Dakor is talking about his adventures in the very high keys where, well, yeah, where obviously the scaling means that the game is kind of being broken a little bit. And, if you don't have immunes to maybe cheese a mechanic, you just are screwed. So, you know, WoW does get to like that level of hard, but I suppose there's a lot of other games that actually do just let characters be super big heroic Giga Chads that could blast through all of that content. Whereas WoW has always tried to rein in that pace because the inherent struggle of, I think one of the inherent struggles with World of Warcraft is it is a game from an older era, 20 years ago. Gameplay is very, very different now to, you know, to what it was then. Now it's faster with higher success rates. And I think that's where Mythic Plus kind of gets a bit funky. And it's where you then have that problem of like, your tank is playing defensively and they're maybe leading the group doing pathing, so that's that gameplay. Your tank can't do super competitive damage with DPS or else everyone just ends up being a tank. I guess the point of something like Vengeance was that only like 1 or 2 tanks can do that because it depends on incoming damage, but then degenerate gameplay. And then what do? Well, I guess you could have a tank have so much like proactive CC and, you know, control abilities to like let them control the battlefield, which is then, you know, sets up the fantasy.
Yeah,
and
that's the problem.
But then if you power up the tank to the point where they can do that, now the tank has got just all of the utility in the universe.
All the responsibility in the universe is more the problem.
And then, yeah, all the responsibility. And then to tune that, you'd probably need to remove some from DPS so that you then have more defined roles.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of gets you into another problem. So it's really hard.
The problem is no one really seems to want to do utility as a wide rule. Tanks like it, but they don't like having to do everything. Healers don't like having to do either everything or nothing. Like, you could maybe move healers to be more supporty, but then that just results in a number problem again. With Og being like, oh yeah, would you like a healer who can PI? We'll bring that all the time. Oh, sorry.
So I guess, like, with the healers, maybe, you know, instead of a PI that just goes in somebody, maybe the healer can drop a damage circle, stand in the circle, do a bit more damage.
Stand in the circle! That's fucking terrorism. Stand in a damage circle.
Inflict your friends with a rune of power.
Ley lines, rune of power. Are you fucking joking me?
You know what I'm trying to say, though. You know what I'm trying to say. So the healer will be doing damage, not by doing damage, but by sort of buffing people up, which basically means it's an Ogvoker.
Yeah, and then one of them does 1% more buff damage, so you take that every time because damage is the only thing that matters.
Yep. Which I think is to say, we're not really going to solve this problem. In a lot of other games, there is just difficulty that does not work like how it does in World of Warcraft. And, you know, expectations of success rates and how you play are just different to what WoW is, because WoW at the end of the day is a fairly unique game experience that's really carved itself out. And so I suppose we have this carved out thing, and we're trying to work out how it can be sustainable, but also stay modern, and then also solve all these problems, like all the things you've talked about. They keep on buffing health pools, you know, making healers are too. See, it's that really weird thing. Whenever a healer's too strong, that actually makes healers unhappy, because then the only way to challenge a strong healer is an incoming damage profile that's not fun to heal. Oh, so that's the thing. Like, as a healer, you almost want to be weak. It's a bit like being a Japanese company in the export business, where you're like, strong yen? No! No strong yen.
Well, they'll be very happy, won't they? They'll be extremely happy.
Yeah, because the other way, like, Nintendo would have, you know, oh, we perform fantastically, but the strong yen.
Oh, the whole country's on sale at the minute, like. Whole country's on sales.
GBP. Yeah.
It's so bad, man. I mean, so good, man.
£1. Holy... Oh, wait, that's 1985. Okay.
That was slightly... Neither of us were born
£1 is 200 yen, basically, right now. In February 2020, it was 143.
That's so funny. The whole country's on sale, dude. Fuck me. Oh, my God.
Yeah, wow.
I hope that stays until a couple of my orders come.
See, it's funny. It used to be like that for us with the States.
Yeah.
£1 would get us $2. And yeah, if you went from the UK to the US, like, I don't know if it's maybe cost of living, or maybe it's just like you don't, like the sticker prices psychologically feel different because sales tax is calculated at the till instead of on the label.
That's fucking in Canada.
You would go to the States and just be like, holy fuck. my money just doubled, but the prices haven't. This is mad. It is not like that anymore. Sterling's, pound sterling's having a time. It's been having a time for a while.
Sure is. Sure has.
But wait, no, I think, there's some ways a weak pound is actually good for us as technically an export business.
That's true.
Because we get paid in dollars. So we get our weak currency with everything, in our country priced around that weak currency, but we're getting paid in a strong currency, the dollar. Yeah, the reserve currency of Earth. And this is where I would sort of do an eagle noise if I could do one.
Yeah,
so just imagine an eagle instead.
That works, except I get paid in pounds, and then I go places with stronger things.
Well, that's where the whole plan runs aground, unless it's Japan.
Exactly.
So basically, this entire thing is set up so that we can go to Japan for a reasonable price.
100%.
Excellent.
Except for the See, you know what the best part is, or the worst part? Everything priced in the yen, basically free. You know what's not priced in the yen? Fucking flights.
Well, Matt, using today's sponsor, NordVPN. It's not a sponsor, don't worry. But
yeah. No one has the balls to sponsor this stream. The shit we talk about, dear Lord, save us. Dear Lord, save us. So, anyway, we're talking World of Warcraft. Is there anything left to talk about?
Bronze.
Oh yes, bronze.
Let's talk about bronze. Bronze has been buffed, but unfortunately,
bronze is also a weak currency.
Bronze is a weak currency. Yes. So, just like you. Basically, Blizzard have taken the sort of Weimar Germany route out of their problems. And while this may be an issue in the future, they have inflated the currency in order to solve their short-term problems. And bronze is now worth nothing because you get a lot more of it.
Bronze,
so basically, it is interesting, though. So their overall philosophical point here is what they actually investigated doing is reducing the upgrade costs and then refunding people back the bronze. They found they were not able to implement that for technology reasons. Who the hell knows how? And maybe it's one of those things that could have been gamed or...
Computer's hard.
We'll chalk it up to computer's hard. So computer's hard, they couldn't do that. And I think they sort of realized then, okay, we just need to give them more bronze then. That's the only way we can do it.
Spin up the money printers, boys.
So what they have done is they have doubled the bronze that comes from caches. And that is after, of course, they were buffed by 25% shortly after launch. So a minor bronze cache now gives you 500, lesser gives you 1,000, bronze caches give you 1,500, and greaters give you 2.5 grand.
Sweet Mary.
Sweet Mary, indeed. But... Oh, you do the Sweet Mary, and then I'll come in with the By Jove, and we will sound like crusty old Northern Irish men. So then we've got spools. You now get double the threads out of spools. So
that's
the greater spool just gives you 540 up from 180.
Yeah, just triple.
So if you just knock out a few world bosses, do
a handful of dailies.
Yeah, and the way that this has been done, right, is doing your dailies and your queued dailies. They are very positively impacted by this because those are giving you spools, they're giving you caches. This basically means that your daily bronze has doubled. Daily bronze is doubled. Progression in your characters will be way faster. And I don't know really how we can test this. Maybe I just need to be diligent and just do it in a new tune. But you're getting more spools. And that includes XP spools. Now, if you, by doing your dailies and your daily LFRs from level 20 and beyond, as you're trying to level, if you're getting 200%, stat gain from that. I don't know if this impacts XP.
It wouldn't impact XP you pick up from the raid bosses, I don't think.
But it would from...
they're direct.
Yeah, but you get spools when you're doing that stuff. So I wonder then if your bonus XP will actually be going up quite a bit more. Maybe to the point where you just have 400% XP at level 40. And at that point, just go do a few quests. At that point, you'd
fly around and just the experience gain from exploring it fucking cap you or close enough to it.
So that's basically that. And I should also point out, I'll just bring up the blue post here. They did say at the end, right? Thanks again for all your feedback in this version of Remix. We will be applying these learnings to our future endeavors, the WoW Remix team.
There's a remixed team? Oh my god.
Remix 2 has been greenlit.
Electric
I bet.
Boogaloo.
I bet. And it's a complete no-brainer. As much as, like, there has been a few, there's been a little bit of victory, defeat snatched from the jaws of victory with some aspects of this event. But, big picture, it's meant a lot of people have checked out Pandaria. A lot of people have leveled up loads of characters, got loads of mogs. So even though there has been, some, negative news stories to talk about, I've got to imagine that given that it was a rewarding experience before this buff if all you wanted was the cosmetics. Their problem was if you want to go full Diablo, go kill Uber Garrosh. So this is them just trying to fix that problem because they basically said that the real issue here is people feeling like they should upgrade and feeling bad upgrading because it's the same currency that also, gets the cosmetics. So basically, I would imagine a faster pace of progression in the next remix and likely 2 currencies. That is what I would personally bet.
Same.
There we go.
Very different bets going on here. Very, very different opinions. Very, very opposing.
We're gonna have to manufacture some drama.
We have to pick a fight.
So what else is going on?
Your favorite thing is shit.
Oh no, not my favorite thing. I can't believe you said that. But your favorite thing is shitter.
Incorrect. I'm always right. You cannot hurt me. You cannot hurt me. I know my favorite thing is shit. That's why I like it. That's why I like it.
Yes. So that's kind of the crack for some other things. And we'll cover this in the WoW news. We don't really need to talk about it here much. But basically, there will be a pre-patch PTR up pretty soon. You can't play it right now, but it is up. You can transfer your characters over. So you'll see it in your BNet client, a new PTR for War Within. Go onto that, copy your characters over. It helps Blizzard. They basically want to use a whole bunch of real-world data. Just, there's millions of World of Warcraft characters, so just imagine all of the edge cases that could exist. What they're doing there is testing the merging of your account into the Warband system. So that's going on. They've also talked about their endgame testing schedule, which has Mythic Plus, it has raids. They're just getting into all that testing, which obviously they would have to because the expansion comes out in, if I check, Wowhead's handy, 69 days. So the expansion's pretty soon.
69 days, 45
doing a lot
minutes.
of that. We'll maybe look into this in a later segment in our next stream, but there's some more very rare items. There's like a Void Blade 2 set. That's like pretty neat.
I hate how much looking into this and concerning have been ruined for me. By fucking...
Wait, what?
Elon's, looking into this and concerning tweets.
Thankfully, no.
Oh my god. Oh.
I mean, he's lost his box.
Yeah, he has. But anytime I hear look into this or something or concerning, I immediately just laugh.
Although he has spawned formats like this whole thing of nope, all iPhones will immediately put in a Faraday cage. I'm just thinking oh my god, that is so unhinged that I almost love it as a meme format. I don't know, maybe, yes, there will be a degeneracy box in the entrance to the office and you just have to put it all in there.
Rough.
Yeah. Also, I mean, flipping hell, Elon Buster, if you're going to be throwing all those iPhones out, maybe you want to take a look at the Androids and the Windows. Because
oh yeah, of course, yeah. And nothing is secure like an Android phone.
Yeah.
Nothing secure like a little fucking China box.
Elon, I think it's pretty simple. Listen, they made the SR-71 with a slide rule, so your crew don't need anything more. Start developing X without computers because they're insecure. Use a slide rule and an abacus. Far better.
I would recommend developing X without a computer.
All real engineers use a slide rule.
Likes been private. It is such a low IQ move. But everyone knows exactly why, and it's just so they can say, look at the amount of likes. Bots didn't do this.
The amount of... what was that account? It was a pretty major account in gaming, and its likes tab was all just Mario porn.
It was it Saved You Click Video Games, and it was all Daisy porn.
Yeah. So that one was good. We actually had one close to home, not with us, but it was close enough to home. It was you keep on liking. Actually, I think again it was not safe for work Nintendo stuff. It's like don't do that don't do that in the company account. That's a mistake. That's very silly. So it's yeah.
I mean,
It's sad.
They invented bookmarks for a reason.
It's sad that those funny things won't happen. We did at least get a pretty good, like, a final spurt of humor.
Yeah. Especially with everyone, like, now replying to posts saying that they've liked them. It's very good. Trust stupid internet people to make things funny. That's very good.
Brock Cigar's axe in Season of Discovery.
Oh, yeah. Remember Ted Cruz liked some porn? That was funny.
Now, Matt, that was his aide using his phone. Well, obviously. Our Teddy Cruz would never do that.
Oh, yeah, Tony the Tiger as well.
No, don't ruin Tony the Tiger. I mean,
good times.
Okay, when I say ruin Tony the Tiger, I mean, I want to uphold horny Tony the Tiger. Because that was...
You want to do what, them?
You guys know Tony the Tiger. Do they know Tony the Tiger? You know Tony the breakfast cereal tiger. The replies on that account on Twitter were always very good.
People... Something thrown frosting. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Oh dear.
I'm so sad. There's no Tony the Tiger account's gone. Oh, that is some of the least appealing. I mean, inflation is generally not appealing. That is actually some of the least appealing inflation I've ever seen. Dear Lord. It's like the other annoying thing about Twitter.
That in your mind you've got the most appealing.
Well, if it is in there, thankfully I can't recall it.
Yeah. There are 2 more quest designers being hired in the WoW team.
Oh,
very nice. So they're not out of money. Microsoft hasn't said don't spend a cent or we'll kill you, like they did with. I don't know who else they could possibly have done that with. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know if there's any good video games that have been killed. Fucking shitheads.
You're wearing colours in your shirt. I think you've gone woke.
I regret to inform you, I am a very...
They have struck again!
I'm a very sleepy boy. I'm a very sleepy boy.
Yeah, in my head, the opposite of it is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really think I can get that to catch on.
Nah, I don't think so.
The internet. It's either like the Agora... or it's the battlefield of ideas. I don't know, the cockfighting ring of ideas.
I just like when people do stupid things like Maliker Midori turning out to be, of course, a white man the whole time.
That was so...
And not even just like a normal white man, but a white man who's already was hanging around outside Sega to try and connect to their Wi-Fi from outside.
Oh.
That kind of...
Well, if it's for the purpose of leaks, I'll allow it. But it does definitely seem a little bit sus.
I want BM Hunters to summon Tony the Tiger. Hell yeah. Just Tony comes in, just lifts them up and just fucking...
And then...
and then World of Warcraft age rating.
Just World of Warcraft X Kellogg's. That's where gaming is going to go. I mean, it's already happening with brands.
Yes. WoW was rated T for teen, meaning it's recommended for those 13 and older. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go to fan art to get.
What do you mean? It's a breakfast cereal targeted at kids. It's Tony the Tiger, everybody's favorite lovable mascot. Never do a thing wrong.
Yeah. There's a lot of things right, though. Oh, dear.
So I do think this means we've well and truly ran out of content for you. There.
Fuck, sorry. Not casting bestial wrath on Tony the Tiger during Bulging Week. Finally, it took the whole stream, but we brought together a joke.
That is incredible.
Oh my god, fantastic.
We salute you. We salute you.
I'm going to pin that. Oh my god.
If we had like the merch operation ready. I don't know, like make like a pin, but it's the tooltip for Bulging Week.
Yeah,
No, that's
no, not a tooltip, but like the icon. The icon's like like a turtle poking its head out of its shell or something.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfection.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. We talked about Tony the Tiger. Honestly, I was more of a honey puff. That sounds really bad when it comes out like that, doesn't it?
Well, you're in the right month for it.
Yeah, the honey puffs. What was he called? The honey monster.
The honey monster. Yeah.
The honey monster.
Sugar puffs.
Sugar puffs.
Sugar puffs. And the honey monster. Yeah.
I feel like I was a sugar puff. I was a honey puff. I don't really know what one is like a little more salacious because you got was it honey pop? Honey pop?
Honey pop. Yeah.
Honey pop is kind of similar to honey.
Yes. I don't even want to say this, but I was always a crunchy nut guy. In the same context, that doesn't really work very well. Oh dear God!
For me, it was always the crunchy nut clusters.
Oh yeah,
better mouthfeel. So there you go. We do need, the way you've got like Godwin's law or whatever. We sort of need one of those for whatever, if the stream happens, it will invariably end up probably with like furry shit or something happening by the end.
Yeah.
So on that incredible bombshell, everybody, number 1, remember, roll foxes. Roll foxes, post foxes.
Do not roll foxes.
Nope. Volpara takeover. I have no flow, but I'll recapture my flow. In terms of things, look, we cannot confirm that Tony the Tiger is in War Within, but what we can confirm is that Beast Mastery Hunter plays better, and Blizzard have actually improved the stable UI. So if there ever was a time to get ready to trap Tony, it is in fact now. There will be our video, quick chat about the Hunters tomorrow. Then we'll have the WoW news on Sunday. And if all goes to plan, we will have a pretty chunky sort of the story of Pandaria on Monday. I think we've also got near daily news content as well. So we are quite firing on almost all of the cylinders. And we are also, me and you have been talking about sort of upping our quality, our sort of quality level and things. And I think our next discussions are going to be, how do we cover the launch of War Within? Start making that launch content, the bread and butter, the invariable key bindings video.
Key bindings
There
video.
always must be one.
Which is
You're ready to make a fucking spreadsheet, or maybe it'll be a shareable Notion page. Who knows? Or maybe we'll just
that would probably make more sense.
Maybe we'll just code a full web app.
Will we fuck? Will we fuck, mate?
Do you know what I love? So, in our way of speaking, that means no, we fucking won't. However, to somebody in America, they might be really confused.
If they just come in right there, like, yeah, that's
This man has just said, "Will we fuck? Will we fuck?"
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really bad with using colloquialisms. I find it very difficult to what's the term? I communicate with people from different cultures, especially those who aren't aware that I just the way we talk is fucking wrong.
Yeah.
The way we talk is wrong. It's wrong. But yes, will we fuck? Not a chance. Not hope.
Okay.
Get me to do it. I still need a job. If you do it for free, you can do it.
We'll maybe do
I'll fucking pay you.
We'll do the web app for midnight, perhaps. Not serious. Although it would be kind of cool. I know at that stage you'll just be able to be like, point your phone at your screen, and say, "Hey Siri, could you rebind my keys for World of Warcraft?"
I would love to do that if World of Warcraft. Where does World of Warcraft store button placements?
Server side now.
Yeah.
It used to be client side, I think, but server side.
Yeah. Because you can't just go put my buttons here.
Huh?
Can an add-on do that?
Put your what? Can an add-on rebind things for you?
Can an add-on just?
Do you mean like an
can an add-on just fucking fire your kill shot onto your queue?
So what you
Can it?
basically mean an add-on that could import a string and then just keybind based on
Yeah.
that? So you could export from a web-based tool, which would have a nice UI for laying your stuff out.
Well, I wasn't thinking about the last half. I was just thinking, I was thinking about the technicalities. You've went and jumped the gun.
Darn.
Promised features. Look at you fucking venture capitalist. Fucking.
That's
you
it.
run around, be like, oh, give me a million. Give me $1 million. I'll make you tools and features.
Are you a venture capitalist who wants to make a World of Warcraft keybinding startup? It'll be high growth.
Yeah, scope creep. This is the fucking scopiest, creepiest motherfucker ever met in your life. We're just like, oh yeah, well, this would be a cool possibility. He's just like fucking sees the vision of a million things on top, and you're like, no, I just wanted to, I was asking a question.
It's hard being the Emperor of the Arathi.
Renalash soon, and you'll meet your end.
Oh, I can't wait for Renalash. It'll be fantastic. It can finally be over. But no, things... in spite of our, shall we say, self-decommissioning based humor, things are actually going pretty good. So, right, state of things. There is content coming. We are pretty much towards the end of the stream. There's
Pretty much towards fucking hell.
It's pretty much the end of the stream. There's a new lore walking posted, I think I saw. Never mind, I didn't, maybe.
So I could actually, it'll take me a little bit at home, but I actually do that tonight or tomorrow. There are.
Oh, no, don't do it tonight. No. Do it
on
on Monday, you bastard.
There's the last one that went up was the Arathi. We dug into that. That was earlier this week or last week. I don't know time anymore.
That's the one I was. That's one I was.
Yeah, the Arathi is a
yeah.
very, very good one. There is also, we have recorded we've recorded almost all of our class specials. We have Evoker and Hunter recorded. Neither of them are up. I'm going to post both of them around the same time because Evoker has some audio issues, so some people may not want to listen to that one, but it's worth giving a try because it's one of the best ones.
What's the audio issue?
I just fucked up recording stuff, so volume and shit's all kind of. I've done what I can to post. It's fine. I've done what I can to post. It's fine. Okay. It just doesn't sound great. So I'll post both of those at the same time just for the sake, make sure there's something good there. But there's almost certainly a. Next week we're going to, because Jared's off for a little bit, we're going to record 2 next week, and I'll post 1, which will be Paladin and then Hauntology. Hauntology being the things that didn't happen in World of Warcraft, the things that still haunt it.
Yes.
Which will be very, very interesting. But I will say the
2 tasty lore videos from Jared coming up as well.
Yeah. I will say the Hunter lore walking was timed really well for the rework. In that I was playing Hunter. And I was thinking about the lore of it and like the class fantasy and things, and I genuinely think it is one of the most interesting classes in the game by virtue of having perhaps the weakest fantasy of all, but the widest spread. Because there's a billion different, like, what does Hunter mean to you? And
it's very much
everyone will have a different answer.
They were the best of times, they were the worst of times. Like, that's what the Hunter is to me.
Yeah, everyone will have such a different answer. Some people will be like, oh, Rexar's Hunter. Rexar's a Beastmaster, but he's a survival hunter, which is kind of weird. You've got you've got Chandra's Feathermoon's actually an exceptional hunter, but how many people consider her one? You've got Illyria, you've got Sylvanas, obviously the Dark Ranger kind of aspect of herself, but then you've got Illyria who's now kind of void hunter in a way. And there's just all these different types of hunters. There's like the Shadow Hunter. There's even the one thing they never did with World of Warcraft hunters was the Troll Head Hunter style. Because they basically, Hunter is an amalgamation of all of the existing ranged archetypes in World of Warcraft. Or in Warcraft, I say not in World of Warcraft, because in Warcraft 3 you have, obviously, you've got Troll Headhunters, you've got the Elven Archer, you've got the Legolas. People love the wee Blood Elf Legolas. Like,
to bring a little bit of the history side, of ranged combat into it. There's a lot more than just bow. I mean, obviously, there's all the different
short bow.
There's all the different styles of using a bow. Be that big
rock thing, slingshot.
Yep. So you got slings, you got crossbows, you got bows. With crossbows though, you've got big Western, I think Western anyway, style like sort of siege crossbow things. I don't mean
arbalists.
No, not quite like a scorpion or anything, but. Those ones that were really, really good for, just being being big and chilling around the crenellations. But then you've got, say, the Chinese repeating crossbow. Very cool. Very, very cool. History of China's awesome. It's History of China is awesome. It's just it takes you a while to get used to processing.
Very different, yeah.
To processing, be able to remember and differentiate. At least I find anyway, like
Yeah,
Chinese names. Like whenever I first was playing,
Romance of Three Kingdoms.
the Total War. Yeah,
Total War, China.
yeah. Just because like most of the being like knowing a little bit more of like the sort of like Western history, I'm just kind of used to the names. But like you see when you actually like really dive in, like man, it's so great. But anyway, no, from that you get the repeating crossbow. So there's like all of these different types of ranged weapon. And I've always found it interesting just how MMOs handle that. So you've got the idea of the relatively close range skirmisher with a javelin or something like that. You've got the sling. Now imagine like weird sling acrobatics that you could have if it was like an MMO. Like Nicky in our team, he's always asking for the dancer of FF to just be in WoW. So I imagine maybe you could grab some other, ranged archetypes or throw that together. So it's funny with WoW because a gun, a bow, and a crossbow being mechanically identical is insane. It would probably make more sense to have skirmisher be a class and marksman or whatever be a class.
Fucking skirmisher, you nerd.
Not skirmisher.
No one's going to be a skirmisher. What the fuck? Skirmisher.
Okay,
Skirmisher.
one that is like... Alright, one that is beasts, spears, bows. It's a bit more mobile and acrobatic. And then to have another one that is, the longbow, the crossbow, that is more... just a different sort of style of range combat. But then you get into the problem of like, you're like, if you're a warrior, you're like, I do bloodletting and then rampage and then marauding strike or whatever. Whereas if you're sitting there with a gun, it's like, I do shoot and shoot and shoot and I keep on shooting because like how many verbs like. You can stab someone with a sword, you can bonk them with a sword, you can slap them with you do all these things with a sword or an axe or whatever. But with a gun or a crossbow, it's like if you shoot, that's what you do. So then it's like, well, do you do like elemental arrows? How do you then?
Shot.
Yeah, and then that's
Arcane shot, chimera shot, explosive shot, black arrow. Hey, survival hunter from back in the day. Huh?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's funny getting like the raw marksman fantasy without putting it full of magic. It's way easier to get that with the SV hunter that is just best mates with its pet, like Rexar. But it's hard to. It seems to me that it's quite hard to get that without having to lean on different sorts of magical fantasy in order to have a. This is why this arrow is different to that arrow.
Well, that's because you're dealing with range differences.
Yeah.
And also, auto attack differences aren't that super important because it all, like, again, that's a lot of, but like World of Warcraft's never taken its inspiration from like history very much. It's always, obviously in some ideas and writing and things like that, but it's always been a hand-me-down of different fantasy elements and different involvements of fantasy elements. So it's always you've got Legolas and you've got the pet hunter. And those are kind of it. But like even like the Hunters in Warcraft 3 never really got too much of a version in WoW because WoW was fantasy but also vaguely realistic. So they couldn't do anything like Dancer because throwing shit that came back to you didn't make any sense. They opted for the realism of the RPGs. And this is stuff we talk about with in the Lore Working podcast a little bit. But like you had ammo in World of Warcraft. Your pet had to, you had to feed your pet. Your pet would be unhappy and leave you. Like, those are, like, the realistic elements of that stuff. Those are the realistic elements that WoW immediately went for like, the MMO simulation-y part and, like, the things to micromanage. Because it was immersive to have to buy ammo, and it was immersive to get new ammo that was stronger. And it was immersive to, like, be able to go and, like, leather work yourself or tailor yourself a new bag that would hold more ammo. That was cool as fuck. But that detracted it from doing anything that was way too out there. Because that was even the case with like rogues that would throw knives. They didn't have a throwing knife item that changed the knives they threw. They had actual knives they threw. And then that's why they never had a troll headhunter. Because the idea of throwing a ranged weapon and it, coming back didn't make sense if it was a javelin. Obviously, like, you got like chakrams, that's an ability now, and that's a bit more thing they can do. But they kind of missed a lot of that in favor of going for like the fantasy element. But also Hunter was like the last class added to the game, and it was very clearly like kind of like we've got all of the ideas for a range class, we'll mash them into one, which is ultimately the problem. Everything else was a little more fleshed out because clearly the game was designed around, swords and spell casting mostly. And then even like melee, like Hunter had its melee variant that made it work in the open world PvP and things like that. It didn't really work so well, as it wasn't just we can do whatever we want. It was it has to mesh with this world, and that's what happened with Hunter kind of missing out a lot of those more, like as was pointed out there, a lot of interesting fighting styles and archetypes in general kind of not there, especially things like Rune Master not existing until like Monk appeared and took a lot of that kind of stuff away. But then that was when their emphasis on realism and like they were changing their style a lot by the time this came around. But for the first while, it was we are purely inspired by fantasy, but also we want some of the realism and immersion elements out of that work for us specifically.
That's just a really good hello. I like that.
Yeah. So that's what happened there with Hunters, and it's just funny that they've never really fixed that. I would love to see, and there's a problem where how do you get another class that doesn't tread on Hunters, but also coming into range stuff?
My final question before we break, or like final little thing. I saw in guild people posting in our guild chat like, I have the cinematic bars.
Yeah, he's cinematic and I'm just a dude. Like,
I mean, I can make you cinematic.
Yeah, I see the same settings and I got confused.
No, man, I'm going to make you cinematic. Don't you worry.
Go for it.
Are you ready to be Kino?
Aren't I always?
There we go. Now he has black bars, but
yeah, no, basically, too far back.
This is a 16 mil, so it's cropping in to get you that.
Fantastical. Wonderful.
There it is.
It's me.
Cameras. Yeah, my thing was, right, one spec classes, yay or nay. Which is to say, I did not mean to make that rhyme. Sometimes you could have a really strong fantasy, like say the Blade Master. And you know what? You're like, screw it. No, the Arms Warrior is a medieval, knight with a big sword, and that's that fantasy. And, Samurai Orc Dude from Warcraft 3 is the Blade Master fantasy. Of course, with his famous beads.
We never got Samuro.
With his famous beads.
Where is Samuro? Who is Samuro?
So,
is he real?
With Samuro, you could end up being like, how do you do it? Maybe you give him 3 stances. And, you have 3 different stances, 3 specs. Or do you just be like, you're a Blade Master. That's all you are. You have 1 spec. Deal with it. Would that allow Blizzard to just be fantasy snipers? To say, you know what? People, this idea of Blade Master would be sick. And it's it is a different fantasy to an Arms Warrior. And it's also a character that would be from a different, like, cultural heritage. Right? And, you've got, like, medieval knight, like Japanese samurai, if you're going to try and, do some sort of...
Yes, Japanese samurai as opposed to the other kinds of samurai.
Oh, no! Assassin's Creed discourse!
It's not where I was going with that, but...
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, I was talking about...
No, I was just saying...
I was talking about Ubisoft stuff on the news channel.
Oh, yeah.
Ubisoft games have never been like documentaries. I don't know. I'm okay with their I don't mind. They're just doing a what's the term? There's like a character in a movie who's like new to the situation, and they're basically the lens of the player.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like your man, James Cosmo. What was he called? Main dude in Shogun.
Aye.
So he's based on Whitefell, who ended up...
Anjin, yes.
Yes, the Anjin. He's based on Whitefell, who ended up in Japan. So, it's been weird to me that, like, people have been so irate over that. I don't know. It's the internet. People get very angry.
People have very, very little to do with their very limited time in God's good earth. And they're so busy spending it getting upset. I'm like...
Yeah. I've started just going Tyler the Creator mode.
If you're going to be
phone down, do thing good.
If you're going to be upset about something like meaningful, please.
Like, you know what? A real proper issue, Matt. Like the amount of flipping potholes in the road.
I wasn't thinking that. Like, well,
There was a really good. It was an interview with Armando Iannucci, who was the dude who made the Thick of It, the Peter Capaldi sort of same lineage as Yes Minister, and he was just talking politically so the party needs to say, hey, we're going to fix the potholes and remove the shit from the river.
Yeah,
that very, everyone's talking about their big, economic and political philosophies. Like, remove the shit from the river. There's shit in the river.
We don't have drinking water. That's our solution. Get us drinking water. We're going to be down there with the fucking sieves in the river. We'll be down there dredging it out by fucking hand. We'll have it sorted in 6 months. Please elect us. Fuck, I'd vote for that.
If I ever start a political party, it will be called the Power Wash the Nation Party. The only policy position that we will have is everyone will be given a power washer and they will be forced the army will then force them to power wash the street near their house. And then, in one glorious term, the nation will be power washed. And finally, it won't look grey and grimy and horrible. And power wash them, people.
Isn't that literally a thing you can do?
What?
You can just get the army to do random shit like that, right?
Great. That's fantastic. So why did the United Kingdom get completely invaded? Well, you see, we gave all the people with guns power washers. So now the nation's very clean, but unfortunately we've been invaded.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? You just go, right, well, we'll just... because you can send the army to do whatever the government needs to do. So why can he not get just go, right, here's the fucking regiment of the army that are just power washing boys? And just go around power washing stuff.
Street art regiment. Just go around painting cool murals.
Exactly.
That is actually the one thing that Belfast does really well as a city. We have lots of
some really pretty ones recently.
Really nice, colourful murals. I don't mean Troubles murals. I mean street art murals.
There's a really nice one actually went up in the building there. Yep. That I saw was really fun, pretty.
And it's always this situation where this is a disgusting 60s brutalist building that needs to be nuked. You know that era, post, a good bit post World War II, where just the brutalist architects just got in and just ruined everything.
Someone thought everything should be a grey square.
Yeah, we have so many grey squares in Belfast, but we have spray painted a lot of colour onto them. That's made them nice.
That's the stuff I'm thinking about. Vortex. It's the U.S. Army does infrastructure maintenance all the time. The Army Corps of Engineers maintains the Mississippi levee system. Yeah.
Oh,
just be right?
Because the Mississippi levee system goes, it's bad.
Yeah, you just go, right, the river is unusable, so...
it's like Armando said, there's shit in the river.
Yeah, so we've got the Ministry of Defense. We bought, for Christmas, we bought the Ministry of Defense a load of dredging equipment and said, right, boys, you don't have to go and fight, or you can take a 3-month break from training. You are digging shit out of a river, but fair enough.
For any of the sort of non-UK, because I do not think that they have as much of a shit in the rivers problem in the south, and it's not really. I don't think it's as much of a thing in the north. It's really an England thing. But yeah, the water boards are basically all out of money and rapidly failing. There is shit in the rivers. It's really bad. I only found out recently just that everyone in England's there's shit in the river. What do we do?
Yeah, drinking water problems are arising, stuff like that, and you're like, yeah.
And you're just thinking we're a developed nation. Why is there shit in the river?
We're a developed nation.
Yes.
Did I say I think I said it last time on stream. Was or said it somewhere. It was it's watching a thermometer thing in the wall, first world country, and it's just slowly sliding down. You're like, cool. National Service of the Power Washing Regiment. I genuinely think that would be kind of sick.
They would be the heroes. They would be the heroes of the nation.
I would be. I know it has problems. I know Korea's not a great fucking place, but I know it'd be pretty sick to be right, you've got 2 years national service, and obviously you've got 18 months or whatever.
Remove the toilet camera regiment.
Yeah, you've got
the Korean army.
Jesus wept. You've got 12 to 18 months of military stuff as part of that, and then the other part's right now go do something that's framed. It's not bullshit, but it is framed as you are a strike force sorting out this fucking problem that no one else can be sorted with. It's this water company is dog shit, so just clean out for them. And then kill them. You gotta kill them. yeah.
Something like, I mean, if I'm a water company and I know that there's like the fix my problems for free regiment, I might rely on them a bit too much. But now that you've brought in the instant execution of the water company,
Yeah.
and that is, of course, a segment from Matt called "Practical Solutions for a Prosperous Britain."
Honest to God, I feel like we could get very, very, very far. We could get very, very far in politics, just by saying things like practical solutions for a prosperous Britain. Everyone whose shit gets killed, and everyone is forced to make the place good.
No, it's great, right? For every shit you recover from the river, you get a Greg's gift card.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
And we've nationalised Greg's at the same time.
I mean, I could. That's how to fix the NHS. Nationalise Greg's and then fund the NHS with Greg's. It's a beautiful cycle.
Funny, I was thinking that.
Beautiful
I
cycle.
was thinking, what if you nationalise Greg's and then you can just, like, the amount of tax you could not ask for then? Just hostile take over a company and use all the profits for tax money instead of the taxpayer.
Yeah, that's never happened before, and it would always work. There's no flaws at all.
Am I perhaps reinventing some form of cursed wheel here?
You're definitely getting close to a few isms.
Okay,
dear.
well, you can just call me Chairman Matt. That's fine.
Of course, he is named after a river that famously smells like shit because it's actually on mudflats.
Yeah.
The river, like if you go there in the morning, it's like, that smells like rotten eggs. Lovely.
Yeah, it is. It is not very nice.
Go your lovely little morning run. The sun's about to come out. Beautiful long shadows. It's golden hour, and suddenly you get a whiff of the river.
Yeah, the smell of a million dead creatures hit you like a fucking wave. Just thump.
And now that there's a siren outside, and we have, of course, fixed World of Warcraft, fixed Hunters, fixed Delves, broke Mythic Plus. This is a tripod. I don't really... There we go. Anyway, I have a tripod. It's very fun to swing around. And we've also fixed the country, so I think it's a pretty good note to end the podcast on.
Sure is.
Very normal, because, look, it wouldn't be us if it didn't all go slightly off the hinges towards the end.
With that, goodbye.
Matt's floppy microphone.
Yeah, so I would have... I would have actually... Ads are playing shortly. No, they won't. Fuck off. So I would have hit the button to end the stream right there, except for the fact that for some reason, and I do not know why, there's 2 months. For some reason, my stream deck just has no buttons today.
And that does mean our near unbroken streak of technical difficulties remains unbroken. Just this time it didn't ruin your viewing experience like last week. But everybody did get to see us and have our souls be sucked into a piece of hardware. If you weren't there, basically, it was a driver failure, and you could only hear us whenever it was plugged, in and out again. But you would get 1.5 seconds of a weird, distorted, robotic wail of us speaking that would come through.
W-A-I-L, not W-H-A-L-E.
Yeah, that would come through really weird. So it actually, and at the same time, our cameras had also stopped giving a feed. So it basically looked like we got sucked into the computer, and we were stuck there. So as much as it probably made for a terrible stream, at least I hope it was kind of funny.
I would say yeah, but I think Sword Art Online's really bad. But Log Horizon's really good though. Log Horizon's really good.
Well, on that magnificent bombshell.
On that note, watch Girls Band Cry, and we'll see you next week. Oh dear.
Have a good weekend.